Yes, yes, y'all. It is your boy Genesis. Welcome back to the live stream. What is going on, guys? What is going on? What is going on? Welcome back. It's a beautiful evening. Today's date is December 5, 2024. And today's date is, well, I just told you today's date. And the time is 5:38. All right, let's get straight to business. As you all know, Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin is now over, well, past 100,000. Now, what is it right now? Let me go check what it is right now. Right now, oh, right now it's at 96K. So right now it's at 96K. It's still gonna go back to 100, but right now it's at 96K, okay? But the most important thing is it really crushed $100,000 today. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? It's just amazing to see that Bitcoin is all the way up. It's all the way up, guys. It's all the way up, guys. All right, with that being said, did you get to invest some money in Bitcoin? Let me know. I'm not gonna cap. I really never did. I mean, I did a little bit, but not like something that you would say, you know what? It's heavy. Nah, it wasn't heavy. I never put anything heavy in Bitcoin. But I'm gonna go straight to it. Bitcoin is over 100K, and the big dogs who invested some money in Bitcoin are smiling to the bank right now. Are you part of the people smiling right now? Or are you part of the people saying you're going to catch the next wave? If you're part of the people that want to catch the next wave, well, just like you, I want to catch the next wave. All right, let's see what Fox has to say. Well, Kevin O'Reilly. So what he has to say. No, Kevin O'Leary. Let's see what I say. O'Reilly. Let's hear what Kevin has to say concerning Bitcoin hitting 100K.
Trump has tapped crypto advocate Paul Atkins to head up the Securities Exchange Commission. Mr. Wonderful, otherwise known as Kevin O'Leary, joins me now. Kevin, looks to me like this is the Trump Bitcoin rally. Are you buying more or are you selling some?
I'm in a dilemma, Stuart. This move is almost unprecedented in how fast it's occurred, but it's not just Bitcoin. You've got some of the blockchain technologies that were just left aside for so long that have exploded to the upside. HBAR it went up 40, 50, 60% this week in anticipation of policy coming out of both the SEC and the CFTC. Institutions are talking about these technologies now in a way that they didn't because they never thought they'd come to fruition. And so the whole crypto community is trying to figure out what's next. We think Bitcoin is the granddaddy of allocation to sovereign wealth. And, you know, we're anticipating the SEC to put some rules out on this right after Trump takes over. So you've got a tremendous amount of demand here. Now, the challenge is most institutions have some regulatory boundaries. For example, no more than 5% in any one position, or 21 or 20% in any one sector. And we're breaching those left and right 24/7 because we're having massive moves. And so the compliance departments are squeezing managers' heads every day trying to figure this out.
It's fascinating, but by the sound of it, you think it's going higher still, up and beyond 102,
Yes.
103,000. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think right now the charts have no resistance, so it's anybody's guess. I want to call out something that happened yesterday on your show regarding digital technologies that is a derivative of it, because I've been getting a ton of people sending me the link to that interview you did with Danielle Smith from Alberta, when she dropped that bomb that she has 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. That's all power. That's what that is, and that's what we need for Bitcoin mining. We need for AI data centers. I mean, she's coming out blasting there, Stuart. That was pretty interesting. Very interesting.
Big deal. We've invited her onto the show when she comes to America for the inauguration in D.C. We've invited her to come on the show in New York City. You might come and meet her.
Well, she's my new special friend if she's got that much energy, and she's going to be getting a lot of phone calls from other people just like me. I can guarantee you that.
Well, come on in and see her. Kevin, I'm sorry I'm out of time, but we'll see you again.
I mean, this is just wild. The way Bitcoin is surging. Some people say it might get to $1 million. What do you guys think about that? I mean, this is just opinions, okay? This is literally opinions. I don't know what you guys think, but do you think it's going to get to $1 million? Let me know.
Tech titans, they went in on the action. First, it was Meta's Mark Zuckerberg raising his hand, eager to work with the incoming Trump administration on shaping tech policy. But can we say the irony? Facebook and Instagram have a reputation for over-moderating content, even issuing multiple suspensions to then-President Trump. Now enter Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder and Washington Post owner. He's hoping to mend fences.
Shout out to Vegas.
President-elect. Watch.
I'm actually very optimistic this time around that we're going to see. I'm very hopeful about this. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And
Man, these people weren't like in the OG. Now they're all falling in line.
my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him.
But not so fast. Senior advisor Jason Miller didn't hold back, saying that Trump forgives, but he doesn't forget.
We know from President Trump and the way he governed in his first term, that he likes to build a broad coalition, bring people together, even if they've been against him in the past. He never forgets. And I would just remind people of that.
Joining us now, Rumble CEO and founder Chris Pavlovski. Chris, what do you make of the about face from big tech in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so I think, they kind of move whatever way the wind blows when it comes to actually holding values, and especially around the First Amendment. There are none. If we can all remember 4 years ago, it was the Hunter Biden laptop story where all these platforms started censoring factual information and, in my opinion, really helped sway the election in a major way. And I feel that there has to be consequences for things like that. We can't let that escape. They did real damage with the censorship they've done in the last 4 years. And that's something that Rumble has been fighting since 2020. And we've been fighting fiercely. We were the first platform out there to platform President Trump in 2021. And, it wasn't until about 2022 where Elon Musk entered the market with X and also helped on the free speech front. So it's really important that there's consequences for this mass censorship that's happened over the last 4 years around COVID, around the elections. And if there's no consequences, then companies like Meta and Google will continue to abuse their powers and continue to sway elections in ways that shouldn't be happening. So I'm very for some type of consequence in this scenario. And, it's ultimately up and it's in the Trump administration's hands and to see what they'll do. But I think it's really important that for what they've done in the past, there are consequences.
Right, Chris, it's maybe keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Because remember, Bobby Kennedy, his account was shut down on Instagram, I think until last year, until he started running for the presidency. It's just astonishing. And they will destroy these companies, be it Meta or Google, through YouTube, they'll destroy you. They'll deplatform somebody and you will no longer have a business. And on that note, you have not only fought to give people a voice and the freedoms that are guaranteed to them under the Constitution, under our Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, but you've also gone to court. Just recently, you sued the state of California over this new anti-deep fake law, arguing that it does indeed violate the First Amendment.
Absolutely. So, it's one thing to talk the talk at Rumble. We walk the walk. We challenge we challenge states. We challenge governments around the world. We've challenged the New York State. We've also recently, as you mentioned, are challenging California. They went out of their way to submit a law. They're trying to pass a law that's going to ban political satire. They're going after satire. This is like. Right. This is like something you'd see out of North Korea, not something you think you'd see out of California or anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the Western world. So seeing stuff like this is really troublesome. We sued the California AG, and so did the Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee is also on Rumble, so they have all their contents on Rumble. And going out of their way to try to ban satire is something that we're not going to stand for. And it just goes to the mission that we're on. We're about, walking the walk, not walking the talk. We do it through action, and that's what we're doing in California.
Chris, I want to switch gears with you real quick. We just talked to a big Bitcoin bear. You're a Bitcoin bull. You're going to put $20 million worth of it on your balance sheet. Why?
So yeah, we recently announced that we're going to adopt the Bitcoin treasury strategy. Obviously, if you've taken a look at Bitcoin over the past decade, it's been volatile, but it continues to move up. I'm a firm believer in any decentralization currency, digital currency. This is a widely adopted currency, and contrasted to what your previous guest said, it is being used. It's being used multiple different ways. And one of the ways that I would like to see it being used is on Rumble, where creators can receive donations in BTC or Tether. They can receive donation or even get paid in BTC or Tether or US dollars, whatever they prefer. And that's kind of the way we're moving the company. And that's the future. We see it around the world, and we see this adoption increasing. And it's interesting. It's clearly, I'm clearly at very contrast to your previous guest. But you can call me a Bitcoin bull. We love that. Sure.
We like the debate, even if it's across segments.
Love the debate. Chris Pavlovsky.
This is wild. Mixed Marshall. Let me reply you, bro. You actually maybe. You may be having a stroke, bro. All right, thank you for tuning into the live stream. You know what time it is. Okay, so Rumble. I've been hearing a lot about Rumble, but I actually do have a Rumble account, but I never really used it. I need to go check. I absolutely need to go check. And I'm checking here, and it says Rumble is worth $2.5 billion market cap. Okay. So that's not a small company. I mean, it's still a relatively small company compared to like Google, Tesla and the rest of them. Well, Tesla is not a social media company. So let's say Facebook, Meta, X, YouTube is Alphabet, and TikTok and Rumble. So Rumble is still growing, but if you're looking for conservatives, Rumble is the way to go. Rumble is definitely the way to go. But with that being said, what is going on here? There was a drone detected at the 47th president-elect Mar-a-Lago residence. Let's see what's going on.
A flying drone mystery raising alarms in New Jersey. There are clusters of large drones swarming the skies near the Bedminster Golf Club belonging to President-elect Trump. What is going on? Nate Foy with an update in our newsroom. Hi, Nate.
Hey, Dana. So one witness says it's like a parade. The drones just keep coming one after another, and you can hear them coming because they're so loud. Listen to the power of this drone last night. So residents in Morris County tell me this has been happening every single night with the exception of Thanksgiving over the past few weeks. One family claims they followed a drone in their car, and while it hovered above them, the clock in their car changed times. Then they say the clock went back to normal after they drove off. Witnesses also talk about the size of these drones. Some say they can be as big as a small car. Despite the growing concern, though, Morris County officials insist, quote, there continues to be no known threat to public safety. But residents tell Fox they're becoming more worried. The FAA is continuing to temporarily restrict flights over Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster and the Picatinny Arsenal military base.
Of course, he needs to be protected 24/7, and he needs the highest level of protection. This is the 47th president elect, okay? He needs to be protected, and that's just what it is. So I'm sure Elon may have some maybe a little, influence over that because he definitely has the tech to get anything done. So the drones and all that stuff definitely it's needed. Okay, it's needed because this guy has already, when he was running for the 47th during his campaign and rallies, he already had two attempts on him, and people are not want to gonna stop now. So I like the fact that he's being protected with the drones, with everything needed. He has to be protected if we want to make America great again, the border great again, foreign policy great again, all of this stuff great again. He has to be protected, and that's it.
But authorities in Morris County this morning say they have no new information to share as the mystery continues.
Okay,
Dana?
keep us posted. This is bizarre. We need to know more. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Of course, we need to know more. What's going on? Okay, so Kash Patel. What is going on with Kash Patel? Okay. Now, Kash Patel is almost going to get confirmed. That's what they're talking about. But let's hear what CNN has to say concerning Kash.
Kash Patel, Donald Trump's controversial pick to lead the FBI, has made no secret of his plans to weaponize the department to go after his perceived enemies. Those include members of what he refers to.
They keep saying, pursue going after his political enemies. Y'all didn't start this whole thing. Y'all started this whole thing trying to go raid Mar-a-Lago, trying to go do things you're not supposed to be doing because you don't want this man to be running for the presidency of the United States. Well, there you go. You have it. He already won majority vote in electoral college, and now he has a mandate. He's not even coming after you because there's too much to do. The economy is in shambles, guys. Now, thank God, just by the announcing of the 47th, everything that started to pick up, Bitcoin to the moon. Okay, all crypto to the moon. So glad he's already been announced. So everything is getting better. Canada wants to play ball now. Mexico wants to play ball now. Everybody's trying to make sure they do their part concerning their borders. China is okay, China's still playing tough, but they're still gonna play ball at the end of the day.
As the deep state, the fake news mafia, and even former colleagues. And Patel appears to be making good on that threat already before facing a confirmation process, threatening former Trump White House colleague Olivia Troy with litigation and demanding that she retract, quote, defamatory comments stemming from her blunt assessment of their time together. Let's take a listen to that.
Kash Patel is a delusional liar. Let me just be very clear about that. And he would lie about intelligence. He would lie about making things up on operations. I think Mark Esper has talked about that as well, where he put the lives of Navy SEALs at risk in an operation when it came to Nigeria. These are things that actually were happening in real time when he was in the role of CT coordinator in the White House. And I know this because at some point I realized that I needed to double check Kash's work to make sure that I wasn't misinforming Mike Pence by relying on his word. So I had to go around him.
And Olivia Troy joins me now. She served as a Homeland
What does
Security,
that even mean?
Counterterrorism, and COVID Task Force advisor to former Vice
You had to
President
go
Mike
around
Pence.
him.
Olivia, great to see you this morning. I mean, what does that even tell you that even before his confirmation hearings, he is threatening you for criticizing him?
Yeah, I think
Who are you? So we're supposed to believe you and not believe Kash Patel? This is the thing about people. They come out with information and they say, he's lying, she's lying, they're lying, and we're supposed to say, oh, yes, that's true. They're all lying, and you are the truth teller. Man, sit down.
it's a very clear sign of what's to come should he become the director of the FBI and how he's going to conduct himself. I mean, we should take him at his word. These are things that he has threatened in the past. And I think by doing what he did, by sending that letter to me, it was an attempt to bully me, silence me, intimidate me, but it's also a signal to others, right, as he goes into the confirmation process of trying to silence others in terms of telling the truth about his background. I mean, look, I am a person who believes that he is unfit for the role of FBI director, and I have concerns about how he will behave in the role in, leading the nation's premier law enforcement agency.
And so you stand by your criticism of Kash Patel?
I absolutely do.
Even if they have this letter saying you've got to retract all this, you're not going to do that?
Yeah, I'm not going to retract from telling the truth. That is where I am. And this is something that I lived when I was working with them, and it is absolutely true. My job in that role was to serve the Vice President of the United States in the best way possible. That is what I did. And if it meant, at times not taking Kash at his word, going around, like there were people on his staff that used to come to my office and seek counsel from me and advice about what it was like to work for him, who know exactly what I'm talking about. Others have been very public about the things that I mentioned. I am not the only senior national security official who has, come out and said they have concerns about Kash Patel and his fitness for this role.
And so you would testify at a conference.
Why is it just now you're coming out to say it? And we're supposed to believe you and not believe Kash Patel? Okay, Olivia, we're going to believe you.
Hearing if called to testify for Kash Patel. And you think that, is it possible that you were just mentioning other officials who worked around him during the Trump administration, is it possible we might see other former colleagues be called to testify who would have things to say about things that he did right, things that they think he did wrong?
Yes, and the reason that I think this is so important is because we are people that worked in nonpartisan roles. That's how the national security community works, right? And that is why we're concerned, because when it comes to someone that's going to lead the FBI, the last thing we need is a loyalist partisan hack leading that agency and doing things that are going to be just for the president's or his personal vendetta. And that is why this matters so much. And I'm happy. I'm happy to go before Congress and testify and tell them what I know. I'm sure others would as well.
And to be clear, I mean, if he becomes FBI director, I mean, he has talked in the past about going after members of the media, going after what he refers to as the deep state. Earlier this week, we were showing an appendix from one of his books that shows this list of people that are from the deep state. It looks like an enemies list. I suppose he might say it's not an enemies list. Do you think if he becomes the FBI director that he will target people that he considers to be his adversaries or enemies, not only of Kash Patel, but of Donald Trump?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say that, on that list are Republicans on that list. And I would say that anyone that he feels has crossed the president in the future should really think carefully about what it looks like to have the FBI run by someone who is going to behave in this manner. And this is someone, his demeanor when he was in the roles that I met him in, when he was working in the first Trump administration, this is how he behaved on a daily basis, was a division of always suspecting deep state people, always questioning it, hiding information, and I could go on.
Wait. Did she just say always suspecting deep state people? Did I hear that right? So you mean to tell me there is something called deep state? Bruh.
So you think he could go after John Bolton? You think he could go after Lisa Monaco, Stephanie Grisham, people like that?
Yes, and it is concerning. These are people who are simply telling the truth about what they know, and I think we should pay close attention to what this means for the media, for people going forward. And is that who we want to be as a nation? Is that who we want to be as a United States, with someone in the FBI leading that organization, using it for political purposes and not using it to protect the safety and security of the American people?
And I got to run, but I do want to ask you something I asked Zoe Lofgren in the previous segment. There's been some reporting over at Politico, Jonathan Martin reporting that the Biden administration is thinking about doing preemptive pardons. Do you think preemptive pardons are necessary for people like yourself, other folks that Dr. Anthony Fauci, Adam Schiff?
Why would you need to be pardoned? I mean, this is just not right. Why do you need to be pardoned if you are Gucci? Like, why do you need to be pardoned? Oh, because Trump is a bad guy. He's going to make sure he indicts us, he investigates us. If you are clean, there's nothing. If you are clean, bro. So you ain't clean. You are not clean, so you are scared. because you know you went after the 45th. Now he happens to be the 47th president elect, and you can now wait to get pardoned because you know by January 20, he's coming in hot. Coming in hot, people. And the disciples, the Avengers are coming back. And now you scared because you are not clean. You are not clean. You used to act like y'all are like angels with wings. Okay, Biden is the greatest president ever. He's never gonna pardon his son. He's the best. Okay, morals. He has morals. Okay, he believes in the justice system. Yet pardon his son because he's scared. No, if your son is clean, truly, you would not part you. There would be no need. And all these folks up here saying they need a pardon is because you know you're not clean.
Ms. Cheney, I mean, that could be targeted by a Kash Patel-led FBI.
I mean, it's certainly something to consider. I guess my question is, I have not done anything wrong. I know that. And I know that many of us who have just spoken the truth, all we're doing is speaking the truth. But in today's environment, in terms of what's to come under the Trump administration, I think that's something that we're all thinking about and wondering what's to come. And I think I am a prime example of what's to come when I've already gotten a threatening letter by someone like Kash Patel, who
These folks, guys, lions and lioness, they lie for a living. If you are clean, you don't need to be scared. But if you're not clean, of course, because check it out. If Trump was actually a bad guy, he would have indicted Hillary Clinton. He would have gotten Hillary Clinton in 2016. He could. He could have easy work, guys. But in 2016, what did he do? He focused on the people. Yet y'all were going after him, Russia, impeachment. Like, y'all did everything. He still didn't indict Hillary Clinton. So now it's gonna start because you guys cannot sit down, listen to the people, and actually win the people's heart. You have to tarnish somebody else's image to make yourself look good. Well, now it's your turn. You're gonna get investigated like the ants goes into the sugar nest. Okay, they're finna get y'all. It is what it is.
I don't know if you heard, the former Democrat, now independent Senator Joe Manchin had a recommendation that he made. He was talking about cleaning the slate. And he suggested that President Biden should pardon President-elect Trump. What do you think of that?
Well, I've said to people that I'm in that category as well.
Really?
I did see what Manchin had to say. Remember that Trump has not been convicted of anything in the federal realm. Those convictions are state convictions. So I'm not talking about state here. I'm talking about things that could impede our federal government. And so I believe that Manchin may be onto something there.
You would support pardoning Trump for the federal crimes?
Yes, I could. Absolutely.
Now they want to pardon
Supreme
Trump.
Court has pretty much made it very clear that he is preemptively pardoned of anything he may do as president.
Because of the immunity decision for
Absolutely.
official acts. Really quick, I know we have to go. There's been a lot of threats made about whoever leads the DOJ for prosecutors who were involved in the prosecution of Trump and otherwise. Special Counsel Jack Smith, likely to be somebody on an enemies list of sort. If you recommend to Biden, do you include the federal employees and prosecutors and special counsel who were actively on these cases to protect them as well?
Yes, absolutely. Jack Smith's name is on my list. Liz Cheney's name is on my list. I think that they all should be preemptively pardoned because I think there are people who Trump may bring into this government who will go after these people in a serious way. and there's no need to subject them to that. Even if they are found not guilty, why put families through that? Why put these people?
They need to go through that until you are found not guilty. What are you saying? This is why you guys will continue losing elections, bro. If you pardon all these people that you're talking about, y'all ain't finna win no election in 2028, 2032, 2036, 2040, 2044. What you ain't winning no election no more. Because why? If you're so good and clean and Jesus Christ, you need to be not pardoned and go through the due process. If you're found not guilty, then Gucci. Just like the OG, the 45th. Y'all let him go through all of that since like years ago. You let him go to court. You let him take the mug shot. He took the mug shot, guys. So y'all gonna have to take the mug shot. Oh shit. Oh shit. I messed it up. I messed it up.
Protect them as well.
Yes, absolutely. Jack Smith's name is on my list. Liz Cheney's name is on my list. I think that they all should be preemptively pardoned because I think there are people who Trump may bring into this government who will go after these people in a serious way, and there's no need to subject them to that. Even if they are found not guilty, why put families through that? Why put these people through that? That kind of expense, that kind of worry, that should not be. I think Liz Cheney is a great patriot, and I also think there will be a lot of MAGA people going after her.
Just days after President Biden pardoned his son,
Oh, so you're worried about the expense. You are worried about the expense. They're worried about the expense, people, but you weren't worried about Trump when he had to go through all of it. You didn't worry about his own expense, about his worries, about his families. All right? You never worried. Now it's your turn. You are worried about it. Why are people like this? Selfish. Man, everybody too selfish, bro. When it's their turn, they don't know how to be open minded. No. When it's their turn, they know how to be open minded. But when it's other people's turn, you want to be rigid minded.
Politico is now reporting that his team is also discussing preemptive pardons for prominent figures of the MAGA enemies list, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, Senator-elect Adam Schiff, and also Liz Cheney, who, of course, endorsed Kamala Harris and led the January 6th investigation on Capitol Hill. Chuck, is this a good idea?
I think so. Democrats lean into it. I promise you Donald Trump's going to pardon everybody. I made a list in the back a while ago, and I'm wearing what I call my Steve Bannon outfit. I got on so many layers because it's so cold in New York. I look like Steve Bannon. That's just one name, Steve Bannon. What about Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Charles Kushner? If you get pardoned by him, you can become the ambassador to France, evidently, as well. Democrats, in all seriousness, I'm tired of the pearl clutching of we're better than that, we can't do all of that. If he's going to do it, let's make sure that we do it as well, because we're going to be there at the end having to make up all this other stuff.
Adam Schiff, who is on the list, he said he doesn't think it's a good idea. He said it looks defensive.
Well, Adam Schiff, listen, the question is, would they accept a pardon? Because if you don't think you did anything wrong, which they didn't, they might want to not take a pardon. But I will say this, you're talking about an unprecedented crew of people coming in. Listen, even if they don't indict you, they could investigate you into bankruptcy, torture you with FBI investigations. Kash Patel is evidently going to be our next FBI director. Is that what you want to be dealing with for the rest of your life?
President Trump during the time he was out of office.
President Trump got actually indicted by a grand jury.
They tried to bankrupt him. They
oh my God.
created his house.
It's the same. It's the same thing. Why are you so double standard? You are saying the same thing that you guys did to this guy. Now they're saying, well, he was convicted. It was found guilty by a jury of his peers. Let them be found innocent by a jury of their peers. Easy.
torture you with FBI investigations. Kash Patel is evidently going to be our next FBI director. Is that what you want to be dealing with for the rest of your life?
President Trump during the time he was out of office?
President Trump got actually indicted by a grand jury.
They tried to bankrupt him. They
oh my God.
raided his house. It's the same thing, Julie.
They raided his house because he had he had documents that he stored there. I don't think that Liz Cheney has any secret documents stored. If she does, obviously they should be raiding her house too. But look, they have already said that they're going to come after these people. And so from my perspective, I like amen to everything Chuck just said. I'm tired of the pearl clutching too. I'm tired of the complete...
Before the Republicans weigh in, just for the record, if they're handing out pardons, I'll take one.
Yeah, I'll take one too, because by the way, they're coming... because anything...
I talk a lot of trash on TV.
I talk a lot of trash on TV too, yeah, so
But
that's
Chuck,
all of us.
In 2016, they said he was going to go after Hillary Rodham Clinton.
He tried.
He never did.
He
never did. So this notion
he got
always,
mad at his first attorney general for not going after her.
He never did. Look at her laughing. You know he never did. He never did in 2016. People wanted it. People were screaming, lock her up. Lock her up. He said, nah, guys, no, we can't do that. We got to work. But as soon as he left office, y'all came after him. Now you're scared. I don't think Trump has time for y'all, really, because there's too much to do. Okay? The people in charge, like Kash Patel and all those people, maybe they have time for y'all. But Trump don't have time for y'all, really.
But all the folks that I mentioned, we didn't go after them. He was just trying to protect them. All of them evidently broke the law in the court, the Paul Manafort and the Roger Stones and that crew.
There's no secret that Joe Biden's going to pardon people. There's no doubt. Obviously he did. No one's questioning him on pardoning Hunter Biden. No one. The problem he had was when he said that he wouldn't do it and then he did. Because I can go down the street here in New York and everybody will say, you damn right he should have pardoned his son.
You better be careful if you're in New York. I'm just saying, there's 140 other people that got pardoned as well.
Just to understand, do you think that Biden, the pardon power is the pardon power. Do you think that he has the power, he should just do what he wants on that front?
He's the president. He can pardon whoever he wants, Abby. I'm sorry. He can. That's what he can do.
And in his first term, he pardoned 143 people, just so we're all clear, so people can realize it's not just 3 or 4 people. About Trump. Okay. 143.
Which is a pretty normal number for a president.
It is. Absolutely. That's why you don't see me. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, if he really wants to be magnanimous and go down in history, here's what he should do, is he should pardon Trump's enemies, and he should pardon Trump. He will go down as the great uniter that stopped the cycle of tit-for-tat prosecutions, greatest uniter since Abraham Lincoln.
Does Trump need a pardon, though?
In principle, what Jack Smith said in dropping the charges is that it left open the possibility of bringing them back up after the term.
All right, here's the thing.
And do you really think that Trump is going to take that and say, well,
no, not Trump.
I'm going to disarm.
I don't care about Trump. I care about the country.
No, but I'm saying, what is he going to, because you're saying if Biden stops it for Trump, there's not going to be a tit for tat. Do you think that that's going to happen?
It's a message of uniting America. That's what he's trying to say.
Why are Democrats always the ones who are being asked to unite America? Why is the onus always on us? There's always 2 standards.
Unite America? You had a chance to unite America. You never united America. You never. Now you're talking about why is it always us trying to unite the America?
Right? The Democrats have to be the uniters. The Democrats have to behave ethically. The Democrats can't, Joe Biden lied. Donald Trump lies as easily as he breathes, and nobody even pays attention anymore.
Are you implicitly suggesting here that there is a degree of kind of like not playing by the rules that would be happening here or behaving unethically?
I'm saying outright that I think Democrats need to take the gloves off. Evidently, America voted to break the paradigm, to break everything that happened before. And so Democrats need to stop being in a defensive posture as to what the mainstream media is going to say, that Joe Biden, ooh, he lied, oh no, or that Adam Schiff, oh my goodness, he might look guilty if he took a pardon. Take the pardon, because these guys are going to come after you. The norms have been broken, and they've been broken by Donald Trump. Evidently, the country wants the norms to have been broken. So let's start behaving like them. From my perspective, I'm tired of always being asked to be the one to unite the country. No, he shouldn't pardon Donald Trump. Absolutely not, but he should pardon Democrats, because that's what Donald Trump would do, and if that's what America wants, Democrats should start acting like that too.
President Biden sparked a wave of bipartisan backlash this week, announcing the sweeping pardon of his son Hunter.
But according to new Politico reporting, it may not be the only pardon that Biden grants. Jonathan Martin reports this. President Joe Biden's senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate over whether to issue preemptive pardons to a range of current and former public officials who could be targeted with President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House. One House Democrat already has some ideas about who should be on that list.
Jack Smith's name is on my list. Liz Cheney's name is on my list. I think that they all should be preemptively pardoned because I think there are people who Trump may bring into this government who will go after these people in a serious way, and there's no need to subject them to that.
The panel is back. Kate Bedingfield, how real do you think this is, and how important does the White House?
If you have done nothing, there should be no reason you should be worried. Okay? If you've done nothing wrong, there should be no reason you should be worried. I know it's expensive to defend yourself. However, you guys weren't thinking about that when you went after the 45th president of the United States. You searched his house, put it on national TV, embarrassed him, called him essentially a thief, like he stole documents. That's what y'all said. He stole the documents. America, can you believe this? He stole the document. Look at him. Now you don't want to be embarrassed on national TV? Come on, man. You're a big girl. These guys are big girls, are big boys. You can take it. You can take it.
See this?
Oh, I think it's real. I think they are. I mean, look, you heard President Biden and then Vice President Harris on the campaign trail talk about what they believed Donald Trump's abuses of power would mean. And I think that they're taking every opportunity here to explore the options they have left in the time that they have left in office to protect people who may be subject to that attack. So yes, I think it is absolutely a serious process they're undergoing. We'll see what the ultimate outcome is, but I would imagine that Biden views this as an opportunity to ensure that people who don't deserve to be targeted in that way aren't.
People in the White House and the Biden campaign and then the Harris campaign had legitimate fears during the race of what would happen if Trump won, really fearing potential legal persecution and also like what the cost would do. That being said, the context here matters, and that this is coming right after a lot of Democrats are very upset with how Joe Biden rolled out his pardon of his son Hunter, doing it as a one-off, as being like, oh, I'm very, very concerned about political persecution, and I'm only doing my son. And they're like, well, if you're so worried, then why not include this with lots of other people? And so you have to put it within the context of that. I think that's part of the reason why some of these stories are coming out now.
Of course. Of course. Y'all are not as clean as you say you are. So you're scared and you want pardon. If you're so clean, okay, fully clean, you should not want a pardon. You should actually decline a pardon and say, you know what? Y'all want to come after me? Come after me. But no, you're so ready, thirsty for a pardon. And pardon is only going to worsen the Democratic Party.
I got another question for you. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Is that the remembrance of September 11th?
This right here is a Secret Service sort of like grilling with a lawmaker today in a hearing.
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you if you were the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret
that's
Service
a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, that I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
And you are out of line.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. What is going on there, guys? What just happened? How did it escalate? How did it escalate, guys? Let's go back. Oh, my. It is getting spicy.
Off, out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you if you were the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret
that's
Service
a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, that I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
And you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question.
Please.
You are out
Don't
of
try
line,
to bully
Congressman.
me. Don't
Way
try
out
to
of
bully
line.
me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are
I
playing
am a
politics.
public servant who has served this nation and
You
spent
won't answer
time
the question.
on our day, on our country's darkest
Mr.
day.
Chairman, you will
Do not politicize it.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No,
day?
I wasn't. I was there
No,
representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon, your
and
time's
did not
expired.
affect protective
Fallon,
operations.
You know why you were
time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to
that
pay
you're not gonna
respect for a
get
fallen
till
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did
your
you wear a
time
vest?
has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
please.
All right. And we are back
You're
in
a
order
bully.
now. We are back in order now.
Thank you.
On Capitol Hill today, the acting
Whoa. Whoa. What just happened right there? What just happened right there? I was there. Well, one thing I gotta say is both of them were really passionate about their points. And, sometimes when you're so passionate, you just say what you gotta say.
Secret Service director is acknowledging that the agency failed to secure the Pennsylvania rally site where a gunman tried to assassinate President-elect Donald Trump back in July. Ronald Rowe is appearing before the bipartisan task force investigating that shooting, which is set to release its final report today. Rowe says that disciplinary measures at the Secret Service are still being doled out. Take a listen.
There will be accountability, and that accountability is occurring. It is an extensive review that requires time to ensure due process. And the pace of this process, quite frankly, it does frustrate me. But it is essential that we recognize the gravity of our failure. I personally carry the weight of knowing that we almost lost a protectee, and our failure cost a father and husband his life.
The acting director outlined several changes being implemented at the Secret Service, including mandating a unified command center at protection sites to help coordinate communications, expanding the use of unmanned aerial systems like drones to help observe venues and prevent attacks, and adding more staffing to Trump's Secret Service detail. We have with us former Secret Service agent and CNN law enforcement analyst Jonathan Wackrow. Jonathan, thank you so much for being with us and offering your perspective today. I want to ask you about today's hearing. It's the conclusion of a 5-month-long investigation. What stood out to you?
Well, listen, I think that what stands out to me is that there are a lot of ideas that are being presented. The acting director is literally laying out things that need to be done and implemented quickly to bring the agency back up to a position, a readiness level where it can address the threat environment that it faces. But here's the challenge right now. We have a change of administration. challenge number one. Challenge number two is that this is the acting director, right? So his longevity in that role is questionable. And three, a lot of the senior leadership positions of the Secret Service are either have individuals that are net new to that role, or they are vacant. So from the Secret Service standpoint, how do you set the right strategy, long-term strategy right now under those conditions? Can you actually implement this change that is necessary to meet the mission readiness against the threat environment that you face on a day-to-day basis?
Jonathan, Roe has acknowledged that the advance work for that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania was substandard. There has been a lot of attention paid since the incident on Secret Service's coordination with local law enforcement, which, as you know, is key at events like this. How do you think the agency's advance work could change after the Butler shooting?
Well, we have to take a deeper look at the protective intelligence function and making sure that we are sharing information, not just internally, but working collaboratively with our law enforcement partners. Again, we talk about this paradigm shift. It's not a paradigm shift. It's getting back to what the Secret Service does well, and it's protection. But we have to make sure that we have the right structure that's in place to meet this threat environment that we face. I mean, when I was in the Secret Service, drones weren't a consideration. A lot of the digital intercepts weren't a consideration. Today they are. The Secret Service has to modernize against the backdrop of these threats. That needs funding and resources, and none of that is going to happen overnight. Those are strategy conversations for the long term that need to be set.
Well, this is very much an ongoing process.
Well, he has to answer for the bad handling of the Pennsylvania rally. Okay, they didn't handle that right at all. With that being said, Gavin Newsom, some people say Gavin Newsom, but Gavin Newsom, I think he has started campaigning for the presidential election for 2028. This is my opinion, okay? Check this out.
At the border, Governor Gavin Newsom talking about border security. Let's listen in.
Some of their economic priorities forward. So this is something the state has never done. This is something that we've been working very closely with regions from the border, Redwood Coast, to here, the southern border in Southern California. With that, let me just reference briefly. I just got off the phone as we were driving over with our State Office of Emergency. And we've now put together what we refer to as our SOC. We've referred all our efforts to focus now on a 7.0 earthquake in Northern California. There was a tsunami warning that came out. That tsunami warning was lifted. It is part of a protocol, tsunami warnings, anytime you're 5.0 or greater around a coastal region, typically goes into effect. That allows us to back off through abundance of caution. That was lifted. Nonetheless, we're concerned about damage, particularly in the northern part of the state, in Del Norte and Mendocino, in Humboldt County. As a consequence of that, I just signed off on a state of emergency, a declaration that will allow us to provide more resources, provide some of our National Guard resources as needed, access to state fairgrounds, waiving some contractual obligations for that part of the state. It's another reminder of the state that we live in and the state of mind that we need to bring to our day-to-day reality here in the state of California in terms of being prepared for earth.
It is just funny how the 47th wins the presidential election, being pronounced as the 47th president-elect, and all of these Democratic governors want to protect their borders. Some are still doubling down, though, and saying they're going to protect the illegals, but it is what it is.
Earthquakes, but early damage assessments are being made. We don't have any additional information at this time, but our teams are working collaboratively with the teams on the ground. And I just want to thank everybody, particularly our local law enforcement agencies, for their outstanding work and working through their protocols as quickly and efficiently as they have to date. And we'll have more to say on that over the course of the next few hours and clearly over the course of the next few days. Look, I came down here after a few days on the road, as I referenced in Fresno and Bakersfield. to really highlight the economic opportunities here in this region, but also to highlight this project that we've been talking about since the 1990s. We've been talking about this Otay East port of entry since quite literally the late 1990s. There have been formal efforts that date back to 2014 that codified a lot of that work with a memorandum of understanding with SANDAG and with Caltrans, the state of California, and our Mexican counterparts to move this project forward, to talk about the border in a different way, candidly, than it's often talked about as it relates to economic opportunities and that interdependence that we referenced a moment ago. We're finally here to make the announcement that we're going to be moving forward in the next few weeks. We've identified a contractor. We're going to be moving forward with building the roads right behind us to get down to this section of the border. And we are in the final phases, working very collaboratively with the White House and Mayorkas and the team, Homeland Security, to finally formalize our design contract and formally have that partnership agreement by the end of the month that will allow us to move forward in January on this multi-year project that we hope to complete by December of 2027. This is a significant economic development opportunity. As I say, it's decades in the making. It's been a stubborn project for one reason and one reason alone, full disclosure, operational questions of how we manage this new port of entry and the funding that comes from actively managing it. And that's the process that is unfolding in real time as it relates to the details of this final agreement that we're working with the White House. We put out a statement today with Mayorkas, joint statement between the state and our federal partners. That's the first time we've been able to get to this point to more formalize or more formally advance the formalized agreements. But again, the key date's going to be the end of this month as we work on the details to get the final funding moving forward. But that's not stopping Caltrans. They've identified some contractors. You're going to start seeing the earth movers out here. You're going to start finally seeing things take shape and things happening. So this is a good news project. A long time, as I say, decades in the making. And I think paints a different picture than a lot of the pictures that are painted as it relates to border conversations in this country. Just briefly on that, and there's a reason you see our men and women in uniform behind me, my left, in front of you. I'm really proud of the work the National Guard's done down here. You know, for many years now, we've had hundreds and hundreds of National Guards men and women supported by the state of California, the general fund of the state of California, doing work to support CBP on counter narcotics, specifically around fentanyl, but not exclusively around fentanyl. Those counter narcotics efforts led by the National Guard, just in 2023, they were successful in seizing 62,000 pounds statewide of fentanyl. I've seen firsthand this operation at 5 ports of entry along the border, about 70 National Guard men and women at each of these ports of entry, producing exceptional results. They have been embraced enthusiastically by our Border Patrol, and they've provided the kind of resourcefulness that only the National Guard can provide. Today, we're announcing we're going to increase that operation and focus not just on the existing flow coming north into the state of California, into the United States, but looking at the flow going south, particularly as it relates to illicit money and as it relates to weapons. A big part of what happens on the other side of the border as it relates to violence is happening with American-made weapons that come south to Mexico from America. And we need to do a better job to attach a focus of responsibility and energy in that space. There have been good things that have been happening already with the National Guard. We're going to be expanding that with our intelligence gathering operations, analytics work that the National Guard is known for, and we're excited about that announcement today as well. Third, we're also more publicly announcing, or at least formalizing, at least a public understanding, that we have applied with the State Department to formalize a National Guard partnership very similar to the one we have in Ukraine. Many of you may not know this. The beginning of the war in Ukraine, President Zelensky, who'd been out in California even prior to the war, was highlighting the partnership between the state of California, our National Guard, and the work they were doing to help train and support the military in Ukraine. We want to build on that partnership with Mexico. And we have formalized that application. It's already in with the State Department to begin the process of approvals that will allow us to build on these existing partnerships that are well established for years with our National Guard and formalize it and scale it to the next level as it relates to what's happening north and south of the border wall you see behind me. So that's the third announcement that we wanted to share with you today as well. And finally, I'd be remiss because it goes to the subtext of what you heard from our speakers. There's no state that will be impacted more and has been already impacted more by this tariff conversation, this tax conversation that the president-elect is having. The impact's already being felt. We have seen the benefits of the USMCA as it relates to nearshoring. We've seen the benefits of these partnerships, and we have seen the economic output that has been extraordinary. That momentum, particularly as it relates to the diversification of supply chains, particularly as it relates to those relationships in China, that is now stubbornly in question as it relates to the impacts of a proposed 25% tax or tariff on goods coming from Mexico. That would lead, as an example, don't take my word for it, any objective analysis, upwards of you having to spend $3,000 more to purchase a car coming from Mexico if that tariff is indeed imposed. It begs the question, is the president-elect embarrassed by his own leadership as it relates to what he often describes as his USMCA? Did he do something wrong with that agreement that now he wants to throw it out completely and impose 25% tax increase on the American people? No state more impacted by that, no region more impacted by that. Small businesses that will lose customers, jobs that will be lost, the inflationary impacts on every single one of you, the cost of food that will go up, cost of tomatoes at the supermarket, the vegetables, over half that come in from Mexico, the impacts of retaliatory trade on the ag community. No state more impacted by the retaliatory impacts than the state of California.
Man, Gavin Newsom. Look, he needs to chill. He's trying his hardest to campaign now against 2028. Nobody cares. Y'all were in power for 4 years. Bidenomics, y'all said Bidenomics was working. Okay. It's not going to work this time. Okay. Gavin, just focus on California. And once you're done, once your time is done, I can almost guarantee that they're going to do their best to get a Republican in California. It's the same thing with Illinois. The residents of Chicago, they're going wild. And they're like, you know what? We don't want this BS anymore. We did a stream early this morning around 5 a.m. to like, say, 9 a.m. And if you want to go watch that stream, we streamed the Chicago hearing and it was wild. The Chicago residents were saying they don't want Democrat no more. Like, these are brown-skinned people in Chicago that have voted Democrats all their lives. So Newsom need to chill.
Just consider a simple fact that this ag export-dependent industry in the great state of California, that 43% of just 3 products exported around the world, almonds and dairy, pistachios, and add walnuts into that, they will be impacted significantly. And those farmers, ranchers, will be impacted disproportionately if these tariffs go into effect. And I didn't even bring up the mass deportation components of it. You know better than I do. When you look at farm workers, the last estimate, roughly half are undocumented. Close to 90% have been in the state for years and years and years. They're not going back and forth. Close to 60% have kids. The impacts of mass deportation on the cost of food in this state, in this nation, are off the charts. This is serious business. And so I just want to highlight that as well. No state more impacted.
Okay.
Construction industry. Nationwide, we estimate 13% of the folks out there are undocumented. We know in states like California, it's significantly higher. The impact to housing costs. This is serious business. And so this is a serious moment in California's history, the region that defines Baja in California, the dynamism that's been well established here as it relates to co-creation, creativity, the entrepreneurial spirit that's defined between the two regions, North and South, but also as it relates to the impact on the American people and families all across this nation. Final word, don't think for a second this won't impact you. 90% of these tariffs will impact bottom of our economic chain, meaning lower wage workers that pay over half of these taxes. So this is a regressive tax that will have profound impact on progress and momentum that we're starting to enjoy in the tentpole of the American economy. $3.89 trillion a year economy. There's no economic growth in America without the success and the vibrancy of this region and the state of California. 71%, by the way, of America's output are happening in blue counties, that seem to be under assault, at least rhetorically, by the president-elect. Forgive me, I didn't want to make this too political. And I know there's a lot of mixed status here as it relates to different points of view politically. But I hope we can all agree the impacts on this region and your pocketbook will universally be felt regardless of your politics. That's a betrayal that needs to be revealed to those that embraced and supported this agenda. That betrayal is taking place in real time. You are being betrayed by these policies. The impact exists now, even before these tariffs have been imposed. That's not something you should take my word for it. I just met with leaders in the business community that said already the momentum has been impacted as it relates to nearshoring in anticipation with the uncertainty of these tariffs. So that's the final commentary in these long-winded remarks. But I feel very passionate about this because I care about this state. We care about border security, but we also care about economic security, and we care about two-way trade, and we care about our partners on the other side of this border that have well-established partnerships. And I'll just say one final word. I had the privilege, and Jessica, thank you for being here, to be with the former mayor of San Diego on a trade mission with the San Diego Chamber of Commerce in Mexico with hundreds of business leaders. And it's always nice to be back here to be reminded that we have enlightened leaders, regardless of political stripes, in the business community that understand the stakes of the debate and the stakes of the conversations we're having all across this country. With that, we're happy to answer any questions. And if they could be on this topic, then we can have folks behind me, including Dee Dee Myers, my economic development czar, answer them. And if they're not, we'll let them go because I don't want you all to be stuck
No
here.
one is buying this
Governor,
BS,
given
bro.
the balance
Nobody
they're trying to strike
is
here
buying
between economic
this
development and trade and
slimy-
border security,
Yes.
do you expect to see the Trump administration
please
cooperate with
move
you
along.
on projects like this one when they come into power in January?
Well, he helped, he's one of the supporters going back 2018. Some of the efforts under the Trump administration allowed us to make progress incrementally on this project specifically. So I hope they'll consider their own imprint as it relates to this project. And I hope they'll continue to support it, recognizing the economic imperative of doing so. It's in the interest of the American people. It's the interest of this region, interest of this state, but it's the interest of the U.S. economy. Absolutely.
And on mass deportations, obviously there have been some lawmakers in California who have said that there should be no cooperation with the Trump administration. As governor, are there any instances in which you expect to direct state resources to cooperate with the Trump administration?
Well, our approach has been consistent. We don't interfere with federal right to advance federal laws with federal resources. As it relates to the rules that are well defined in the state of California, going back to the previous gubernatorial administration and legislative agendas, we cooperate in many cases. Other cases, there is a requirement of cooperation based on certain criteria and conditions. And we abide by those rules, and that engagement and that protocol have consistently. So that's the approach we take. Again, not a closed fist as it relates to these issues, an open hand. But again, co-opting local law enforcement to make them federal immigration is not something consistent with the law of the state of California that was upheld by the federal courts not too many years ago by the Trump administration that tried to assert that that was an unconstitutional act, SB 54. Turns out on the basis of their actions and the federal court's adjudication that it indeed is not.
Hello, Governor. There's a lot of frustration on both sides of the border over the continued delays of the Otais project. And I'm wondering whether it was supposed to open this year, and now we're being told 2028. I'm wondering whether any of the announcements, the pending agreement, the work that's going to start, will that expedite the opening date? Do you have a new date that we could?
Well, I gave you the date, and I'm giving you December 2027. Sounds better than January 2028. And I'm here to jumpstart this. I'm with you. Let me express my own frustration with this. And we've been very active. Tijuana River been active on a lot of border issues in the last many years, but particularly in the last few months and the remaining months of the Biden administration. And so we want to lock as many of these things up as we can in terms of commitments and meet these timelines. So we're going to hold them to the timeline at the end of December. Get this agreement. I'm going to be held to account as it relates to our obligations at the state level, as it relates to Caltrans work and getting this contractors to start on the road construction. And we're going to try to keep all our feet to the fire as it relates to SANDAG's component, their responsibilities as it relates to meeting that December 2027 deadline as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Governor Jim Avila from ABC San Diego. My question is, as you know, elections have consequences. Donald Trump won the election. There was quite a bit of criticism from Democrats during the Biden administration when Texas attempted to take over the immigration rule. Shouldn't those same criticisms be in California when California attempts to take over and stop deportation?
Well, I don't.
Like that?
I mean, it's a hypothetical. So I imagine in that hypothetical situation, one would be open to a criticism along those lines. But you're expressing, again, a hypothetical. It's not an evidence. I just told you, as it relates to the last question or question two prior, that California's posture
Gavin,
remains.
He really knows how to talk his BS.
We do not interfere in the federal government's right to enforce federal law using federal resources, period, full stop. We also have a legal obligation to abide by the law in the state of California that, as I said, was upheld by the Ninth Circuit. And we intend to do just that as well. So as it relates to a hypothetical, we'll have to address that if indeed that transpires. But I think our approach is one that's sound and thoughtful.
Doesn't it mean, though, that you would have to cooperate with deportation? And you said you won't.
Well, I've not said that. So forgive me if you've quoted me, or rather forgive you if you've quoted me. As it relates to cooperation, it's well established. And I encourage you to take a look. It's complicated. SB 54, no one suggesting it's not. I'll give you an example. As governor of the state of California, I'm responsible for the California Department of Corrections, federal state prison. The state of California cooperates with ICE as it relates to people that have completed their sentences, and there is a handover to ICE as it relates to deportation. That's just one specific fact that's well in evidence in the state of California as it relates to the role and responsibility of the executive branch vis-a-vis state prisons. As it relates to the state law, going back to 2014, that was upheld again by the federal courts not too many years ago, there's nuance as it relates to local law enforcement and what they can or cannot do as it relates to convictions for violent or serious felonies or convictions that likely would impose state prison or judicial warrants. I can go down further nuance and list, and there's different requirements as it relates to local jails and local law enforcement and what they can or cannot do vis-a-vis deportation and cooperation and collaboration with ICE.
Oh, it's food. Thank you, baby, for the food. Okay, with that being said, Gavin has said his own piece. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Double tap your screen.
Treat.
Yes, you can. There you go. Thank you, baby. Make me a big bowl of pizza. But you have to use this.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, with that being said.
So small.
Okay. Thanks. With that being said, I know you guys have heard about the United Health CEO that was gunned down. The face of the man that did the do has been revealed. Check this out.
We actually have some breaking news just coming in the search for the gunman in yesterday's shocking killing of United Healthcare CEO. Police have released this. Look at this. This new photos coming in showing the suspected gunman unmasked inside a hostel. Looks like he's smiling right there.
Look at his face.
This in the Upper West Side in New York City. CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller joins us now. This is a big piece of evidence in this investigation, John.
Well, it's a turning point. You know, we have been asking the metaphoric question, who is the man behind the mask? At least we don't know who is the man behind the mask, but we see the face behind the mask now. And, police worked with these images. This is at a youth hostel, which is on the Upper West Side. They were there yesterday, last night, actually searching a room that they believe the gunman stayed in. They believe this is a picture of him. He kept the jacket on and the hood up and the mask up almost at all times, according to people in that hostel. But there was this moment at the front desk in the lobby where the mask came down, and you see that smile. And this is so far the only image of his face without a mask, the best image police have. And what they said is, even though it's not quality where you would generate a facial recognition image or something that would bring you to a mugshot if he had a record, what it is it's an image that if you knew him, a coworker, a friend, a family member, you would say, that's so-and-so. And that's why they're releasing it right now. They're trying to speed this up by literally crowdsourcing this clue to the general population.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly need the public's help, as it's now been more than 24 hours with this person, the suspect, on the loose. I mean, where do investigators think he is at this point?
Well, so this is a turn in the investigation. The idea that there was some thinking earlier on that he was
He didn't even wear sunglasses or anything like
he
that.
moved through
According to a professional that does this on Fox last night when we streamed, he was like, he should have worn his sunglasses. He should have done that. He should have done this. Like a mask and the sunglasses would have done the deal right here. But what do I know? However, they're like a professional would have worn sunglasses, and just something much more hovering than this.
Town stashed a e-bike, navigated through Central Park up to the Upper West Side, was seen on the Upper West Side earlier in the morning before the shooting, carrying a battery for that bike. It suggested a familiarity that suggested maybe he was a New Yorker, but the idea that he stayed in a hostel up there for 2 days in a room for 4, but there were 2 other men sleeping in there, so he stayed with 2 strangers. That may change the leaning towards someone who came from out of town and tried to stay in a place that would have a minimum number of cameras and and not cost very much, and the kind of place where people don't notice people because it's very transient.
Do you know more about the timeline in terms of when these pictures were taken and this rare moment, as you said, where he put his mask down at the front desk at this hostel before the shooting? It just strikes me that he's in this picture smiling.
You know, I don't have the precise timeline, but in that police were up there yesterday and last night. They did a search of the room. The hotel, of course, cooperated with them and got these, the hostel rather, got these images. It suggests he was probably there Tuesday and Wednesday, but give or take a day. That's something investigators know. We have people up there now talking to them, and something we'll know soon, but it appears to be very recent.
What do police do in this situation, John, when, you know, it's been more than 24 hours, he's still on the loose, he could very well be outside of New York City and beyond? I mean, how far do they cast the net at this point looking for him?
Well, I mean, the real net is global, which is he could have gone to Kennedy Airport, got on a flight, and be anywhere in the world right now, which is another reason to release these photos, which show the face. But I think the current thinking is he came in from outside New York, stayed at this transient location, did the job he came for, and is probably back where he came from, which is yet another reason to put these photos out, because is he from Minnesota, where United Health is headquartered? Is he from Montana or Nebraska or somewhere that has nothing to do with this? Or is he from, you know, Pennsylvania? That's the wild
it could
card,
be global
and
right
this
now.
may
That's
help
just
spur
wild.
that in terms of the crowdsourcing from the public.
Quickly, John, given all of your experience in law enforcement, how quickly, typically, after pictures like this that are pretty clear of his face come out, do you hear from someone who knows the person?
Usually very quickly. You know, I think of the last couple of serial killer cases that I was involved in the NYPD, where we finally got a full face shot with good lighting, and within hours of putting that out, we had people calling in saying, I know who that is. I'm pretty confident that this will work. When you look at that image, if you know him, you'll know him.
Yeah, it's true. Well, certainly we hope so. And it's so important for the public to help and to reach out to authorities as he is still on the loose after killing this United Healthcare CEO on the streets of Manhattan. John Miller, thank you so much.
I want to continue the conversation and welcome in now Bobby Chacon. He is a retired FBI special agent and former leader of the FBI dive team. Bobby, great to have you. Just first your reaction. I'm not sure if you can see the monitor, but this clear, pretty full-face photo now of the suspect.
This is so sad.
Yeah,
man.
Rahel, I think this is the biggest development in the case so far. I think
He
that
looks
there's
so
somebody,
innocent. Just look at his
family,
face.
a relative, a friend, a coworker of this guy is going to recognize this. Now, you may have lookalikes, they may have to sift through some of those, but you know, you're showing this image globally, and certainly within the United States and internationally, this is going to be all over, and someone is bound to recognize this guy as a neighbor, as a coworker, you know, as a family member possibly. So yeah, I think that they are hours away possibly from actually having this guy identified if they don't have him identified already.
And Bobby, when you look at this photo, I mean, to me, a layperson not in law enforcement, this feels pretty significant. I mean, if you know who this person is, you can see the person's smile, you can see pretty good facial features. How would you rate this photo in terms of it being able to potentially identify who this is?
Well, I would say it's not perfect, but it's very good. I mean, it's very good. You can see the shape of his face. He has kind of a unique smile or a grin. He seems very relaxed. I mean, I think with the nose and the chin and the smile, I certainly think people that know this guy, if they see this image, they'll be like, "Oh, that's so and so." So I think this is a great image to put out there, and I think someone's going to recognize this.
And then, Bobby, if we can just sort of reverse track what we now know. So we now have this photo. Police apparently understand what hostel this person may have been staying at. They have these shell casings with these words on it, delay and depose. I mean, from your vantage point, does it sound like they're closing in here?
Absolutely. They're closing in from several different aspects, right? So we already have the forensic evidence. Now we have possible motive, which is, you know, denied coverage. And now you have this physical image. So they're coming at this from many different angles, and each of those angles is progressively getting to the person. I mean, I think it's very much closing in on him, on actually identifying him. Now it's a question of finding out where he is once you identify him. But yes, I think that the motive from those etchings in those rounds is, to me, is clear, that this was a denied coverage type of event. In that situation, you usually have communications with the person who's been denied coverage, and those communications there's a series of them, and they grow in frustration. The person keeps getting frustrated at each turn that it's denied and appealed and denied. And so you might have a series of communications, however that is, probably emails or possibly the website forms that on the company's websites, or written letters even, that show a increasing frustration on the part of the person or their family member in this denied coverage. And each letter gets more, probably threats of violence eventually seep into those letters. You'll have somebody, forensic linguistics, go over this and look at those, but there's probably a series of communications that get more and more frustrating from the person ending it, because nobody goes from zero to shooting someone in the chest. There's probably been communications that show a increasing frustration on the part of the claimant.
And just for our viewers, you are looking at another angle at the very least, or a completely separate photo of the suspect again.
So are they trying to say maybe someone who was actually denied that probably did this? Someone who was denied of their insurance payment or something? What do you guys think in the comment, man? Do you think that it's someone who actually got denied that is uh my phone keeps vibrating. Like, do you think it's someone who got denied? Because this right here is just on another level. This is just on another level, guys. Because someone says ask Pelosi. Because this guy was supposed to be having a meeting in New York. This guy is a wealthy person, of course, but then he's been facing some investigation on payouts on insurance, and it's been big, but nobody knew, just like the top executive knew. But for this guy to be waiting for him outside of his hotel room or his hotel building and just gunned him down, that was like, yeah. OU fan, you're right. He's being under investigation for insider trading as well as something else. Okay, it's not just insider trading. So he's been going through investigation like back to back. But this guy was outside waiting in the cold, and New York is definitely cold. And he waited for that long just to get the exact clean shot. That's wild. People are saying two different guys. Two different guys. Whoa, so what? So this guy like wore the same outfit the person who did it wore? Is that what you're saying? Man, this is just getting deeper and deeper.
And without the mask. Bobby, what do you imagine is happening right now within the police force? Is this a sort of all hands on deck now? They have these photos, they flood the streets. I mean, what's happening now as they try to bring this person into custody?
They're combing Central Park looking for his clothes. He probably changed clothes in Central Park. They'll probably find the e-bike there, maybe his set of clothes that he changed out of. They're working the phones on international media like yourself to put this out to as many outlets as they can to get as many eyeballs on these two photos that you're showing now on the screen. I mean, these are great photos. Somebody's going to recognize this guy. So they're probably working the phones on every both national and international news outlet to get this worldwide image, because someone's going to recognize this guy. The forensic people are doing their job. The canvas people are out in the street still interviewing people both in New York and in Minnesota. And then the media people are really pressing the phones and trying to get this image as widely distributed as possible.
This is on another level, guys. So this is from what CNN has come up with on this guy. Let's hear what Fox has to say, because this is a very interesting topic. I just hope that his family finds some sort of solace and they could accept his loss, because this is, I mean, if it's obviously he's the man of the house, the head of the family. Man, hopefully he has a big insurance on him. Hopefully, so his family can have something to fall back on. It's definitely like a wealthy person, though.
We're getting brand new photos of the suspected gunman behind the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now, you can see the suspect on your screen right now, to the left of your screen, without a mask and smiling. To the right, a little bit more of his facial features from the lower half. And at this hour, the manhunt is still actively underway, and investigators are still trying to piece together a possible motive. And now a new report revealing that chilling messages were discovered on the bullet casings found at the scene. Alexis McAdams has the latest, has been following this minute one. Alexis, what have we been learning?
Hey, Emily. Well, we know, right, from being around here right near Fox News headquarters, there are lots of cameras here in Midtown Manhattan. And there were also some cameras nearby in the Upper West Side where I'm told by a police source those new videos and photos were taken. So I want to pull them up there on your screen because you can really see this guy's face now. The New York Post is reporting that those photos were taken at a nearby hostel where they believe this gunman was staying. As you mentioned, he's got that green jacket on and the black mask.
And that's another thing. Like, if you're that big, huge, you are United Healthcare CEO. You need protective details. You need security around you. This is like the biggest insurance company, one of them in the United States. So there's no way you shouldn't have security details. You can't be wandering around New York, bro. And, this happened to you. Normal TikTokers, normal YouTubers, normal influencer have security details. Normal people have bodyguard, okay? Like them Kai Cenat, I Show Speed, they have bodyguards. This is Kai Cenat, he has bodyguards, bro. And you are United Healthcare CEO, and you don't have protective details, and Kai Cenat has it, and you don't have it. Nah, that ain't finna work.
Pulled down. That matches what he was wearing the morning of the shooting just yesterday when he killed this father of two and husband. That was exactly the jacket. And then you can see him there, too, where the hood's pulled down a little bit and he's got a backpack on. Back out here live, there's new pieces of evidence that just keep rolling in. So for everyone watching at home that weren't sure if they were going to be able to track this killer down, they're getting pretty close to it from what we're hearing on the ground because they have his face. And then they also have some DNA evidence that they're working on to process, we're told by two police sources. But one of the things, Emily, that's new is that there were some etched in markings and messages on those bullets that were found here at the Hilton behind me. Pull those up there. That's deny, depose, and defend. Those were the words that they're saying from the police department they found on the shell casings left behind. The words are similar to a title of a book that condemns the insurance business. The book is called Delay, Deny, and Defend, so it's a little bit different, but you kind of get the gist there. It was written back in 2010 and just rips the insurance industry for their lack of coverage for many Americans. The shooting was caught on camera. That was the first initial evidence they had in the case. You can see the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, walking there. Then he shot. We freeze it, but he was actually hit in the leg. He kind of turned around and looked at that gunman. The guy didn't stop shooting. He shot him again, this time in the chest. We were told he was waiting there for Brian Thompson. I want to pull up some new other photos that we've been getting into the newsroom. This is the gunman there for anyone watching at home that might recognize him. He was at a Starbucks before he went to this shooting scene. We were told he bought a drink, threw something out in the trash, and that's what they're using right now to try and go through that evidence to track him down. Brian Thompson led one of the biggest health insurers in the country. He worked for United Healthcare for about 20 years. The 50-year-old was a dad of two young boys who are in high school out in Minneapolis area, and he was also a husband. Thompson was only supposed to be here in New York for a couple of days because he was supposed to speak at this Investors Day conference at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown, and his visit ended here with his death. And back out here live, you just gotta think too for a second. We're right before the holidays in New York City and all across the country, and this mom and these two sons find out, Emily, in Minneapolis, their dad's not coming home from a business trip. He left to fly here on Monday. So it's really a sad situation as we do try to track this killer down. He did have threats against him. Outlets were told by his wife. What were those threats? Were they about his job? Were they about United Healthcare? We're not sure just yet, Emily.
Yeah, Alexis, devastating for the family, frightening for those of us here in New York City. We know you are on it. You are on that breaking news and with your tight sources there at NYPD and beyond. So we'll be sure to check back in as developments arise, Alexis. Kaylee, all right, so we know now, and then so much we don't know now as well. What are your thoughts?
So the New York Times obtained surveillance video that shows this individual being in the area for about 10 minutes before. Picks up the Starbucks, as Alexis said, bought a drink. Who buys a drink and then says, let's go off someone or kill someone? Like this is a deranged person. And we know kills Brian Thompson at 6:46 a.m. My question is, how did he know Brian Thompson was going to be walking down the street? How did he know that Brian Thompson was staying at a hotel across the street and be walking into the Hilton? How did he know? Maybe
Investor
Cheryl
Day.
knows she's...
Actually, it's because
well, we know it was
Investor Day.
Investor Day, but how do you know he's not staying at the Hilton Hotel for the Investor Day?
But
he seemed to have some awareness.
Because he was right by the hotel. And that individual, according to the NYPD, had been, in the surveillance video, had been waiting outside for some time, out in the cold, at least. So waiting, and knew exactly he knew who the target was, let's be clear. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to...
But no, how did he know where he was staying is my question. At the hotel across the street versus at the investors conference.
Yeah, there's so many questions. And we live here. I mean, it's frightening. Yeah. And that was before a million people came for the Rockefeller tree lighting. Yeah. This is a huge insurance company. Yeah. And there's a lot of theories floating around. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously we're not going to speculate, but I mean, yes, of course, working at the largest insurance company in America, it was a personal vendetta. Nobody goes up and point blank assassinates somebody on the street unless you're out to get that person. Whether they knew each other, that's questionable. We don't obviously know. I will say this, the NYPD will find this guy if he hasn't committed suicide already. That theory has actually floated around that he could have potentially committed suicide by now. But he's not like the egotistic type of killer, you know, like school shooters who basically want to die by death by cop, where they will, you know, confront a cop and they want to go out in a blaze. That's not this guy. Yeah. And is he a trained assassin? Well, he was pretty good on the gun because he was able to fix it in seconds after it jammed. But all of his footsteps basically leave such a trail that he's not a professional assassin. So there's a lot to be gleaned from this.
Yeah, I think they keep putting his picture up there. They're going to find him. There are too many people that will recognize him, given those photos. The NYPD is the best. Yep.
This is sad to hear. You know, the year just came to, well, the year is coming to an end, and somebody who is just going out, doing his job, just got off. Okay. Patriot say he just got United Healthcare, and this bad luck happened. Bro. This is sad. This is absolutely sad. Hopefully they find this dude. Hopefully they find him. And yeah, this isn't something that should be glorified. This is bad. This is definitely bad. And this is something that his family don't have their father anymore. They don't have their husband, their uncle, their, you know, brother. They don't have him anymore. And that's sad. That's absolutely sad. That's absolutely sad. Hopefully his family gets justice, because I mean, this is sad.
Not the best on the case. Give them a few more hours or a few more days. They'll find him. They'll get him. They'll capture him.
There's a DOJ landscape here, too, Cheryl.
There is. There's a couple of things there. First off, Brian Thompson, like many executives of large corporations, usually travels with security. He had traveled with security. He didn't have security yesterday morning. He was set to take the stage just after 8. There was a big the breakfast was happening at the Hilton. That's one thing. The other side of this, though, is that back in April at their company headquarters, there was a huge protest. And it was a very organized protest. It was large. And it was basically, they were saying it was about claims denial. I want to point that out in all of this. And real quick, as far as the DOJ side, Brian Thompson and several of his colleagues, including the chairman of the company, they made some stocks.
And this is the thing about people, right? This is the thing about people. So people are saying in the chat right now, well, this guy was responsible for so many families members being lost. How do you know? Do you have any detail? Do you have any evidence? Why do you assume because he's wealthy and he works for insurance or works with insurance and he's the CEO of United Healthcare, he already is responsible for people's lives that have been lost? Why are you guys like this? Like, why are you guys like this? Why? Just like Daniel Penny and Jordan Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. People are calling Daniel Penny a hero. How is that even possible, guys? But that's the life we're living in. People glorify violence. People glorify violence. And that's just sad. Okay? It's sad.
Sales back in February, 2 weeks, this is according to Crane's New York Business, 2 weeks before the antitrust DOJ action was actually announced. There's a lot of other pieces to this story that are unfolding.
Well,
Man. Okay, look, I'm not gonna go down that road with y'all. All right, so of course y'all know Bitcoin breaks the milestone, crosses $100,000 right now. Let me go on my Robinhood and see how much Bitcoin is right about now. Bitcoin is at $97,085. Right now it's at $97.89. 89, okay? The CEO of Robinhood is at Fox, or was at Fox, and he spoke about Bitcoin. And obviously, everybody knows the 47th president elect influenced all this bull run. Everybody knows that. That's not even a conversation. I mean, you know that. Even the Democrats knows that.
Been very excited to get this next gentleman on our show here. Been a big fan of what he's built up over really not that many years. Vlad Tenev is the Robinhood CEO. Of course, you know it for stock trading, but they're into crypto trading. They're into political betting trading. They make a lot of money with that. They've spread far and wide, and now maybe sports betting, you name it. Vlad, very good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I was noticing your stock and the performance, it's quadrupled over the last year. It's kind of like Bitcoin. I mean, not that it wouldn't merit to the day, but it can be volatile. You've had an incredible run. What do you think is leading it? What do you think is giving you the charge?
So Robinhood went public in 2021, a little bit over 3 years ago.
Bumpy start, I remember.
Yeah, it was, at the peak of the secular bull market, and then 2022 was a little bit rough. But if we look at the company now versus back when we had our IPO, much more diversified business. We have 9 business lines generating north of $100 million in annual revenue now. And we're expanding across multiple dimensions. We have a large active trading business where we have a goal to get #1 in the active trading market across all assets by the end of the decade.
In that universe? Half of that? What is it right now?
No, not quite.
But it's a larger and larger chunk, right? And it's grown precipitously just over the last, couple of
weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Yeah.
November, relative to October, was up 400% for us in crypto volumes. Bitcoin's a sizable chunk of that. October was a pretty strong month as well. But
so this wouldn't have happened had Donald Trump not been elected. I mean, that kind of a run-up.
I'm not sure. I think it's always hard to make these predictions. Certainly, I mean, we had several products on election night that were trading and allowed customers to respond to the market events in the news. You mentioned the presidential election market, super innovative product.
We were
one of the few.
200 million trades or something like that?
We had over $500 million in contracts traded, over $500 million in just a few days, actually.
But election day itself, it was nonstop, right?
Election day was the lion's share of it.
Right.
And then we have crypto, obviously. We had 24-hour equities markets where Robinhood is a leader. And we announced and launched futures trading as well. So now there's 4 ways to trade that. And it was pretty clear. The market responded as the election results became more clear. And it's what you guys were just discussing, the belief in.
Shout out to everybody tuning in one more time. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Double tap your screen right now. Let's get the likes up. All you have to do to like this show is double tap your screen twice, and you would have given this video that you're watching a like. Okay, let's get the likes up, guys. So people are saying that I hope you can change. No. I hope you can continue to live a life that doesn't depend on whether or not your insurance will cover your procedure or meds. But people are tired of having these companies decide who lives or dies. You were right. You were right. Look, as long as healthcare is I have to watch what I say. Okay, it's called YouTube. But as long as healthcare, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna say, as long as healthcare is incentivized by profit, healthcare needs profits. Okay, they need profits. So as long as it's still under capitalism, if it's a non-profit thing for healthcare to be like that, then life would be much more better because I mean nobody's trying to make money off of medications and all that stuff, or you know what I mean, like, but as long as it's profit oriented, there's no way. Look, it's all the capitalism, guys. Like people go into pharmaceuticals to make money. Okay, people go into pharmaceuticals, try to make medications just so they can make money. Thank you, baby. Just so they can make money. So it is what it is. It's been like that. And what do you expect?
Optimism in the end of the regulation by enforcement regime, which has just been terrible. It's been a carpet bombing of the entire crypto industry in the U.S., which should support innovation. This is a very
We're clearly going to have a much more accommodative administration, not to let it go and do whatever it wants, but certainly lighter on the regulation touch, certainly this administration. I am curious, though, what is combined to bring us to this $100,000 plus coin level? I understand the Trump pump. You might have come up with that phrase. I certainly understand even Jerome Powell's remarks yesterday, I think, when he compared it to gold. There was a lot of events simultaneously. The new SEC guy coming in, very accommodative, very supportive of this. But what made this click just now?
I think that if we're still very early in the adoption cycle of this new technology. I mean, despite ETF issuers being approved, not a lot of institutions have wanted to go into it. They've been conservative. They're waiting regulatory clarity. They want clear rules for the road.
But it's still in their mix of offerings, right? I mean, I'm talking about, let's say, investment firms that used to sort of skew all of this, or now it's in their list of offerings.
But they're early. They're early. I mean, if you look at the registered investment advisor market, they're now talking about getting crypto exposure, and that's a multi-trillion market, one that Robinhood is entering as well. Corporates, you're starting to hear more about companies putting Bitcoin and crypto assets in their treasury and on the balance sheet. You have talk of a Bitcoin strategic reserve held by the U.S. government.
Devoted to this. I mean, that would be a game changer.
Yeah, and if that were to happen, other countries would surely follow suit. And the argument is, if it is like gold, as Jerome Powell said, we have a gold strategic reserve. Why not contemplate diversifying that into cryptocurrencies? But I think the larger point is this is at the frontier of innovation in financial services. It's not just a tradable asset, but it's the next evolution of infrastructure, like how we went from mainframe to on-premise to cloud. Blockchain and crypto is the next step in that. And the question is, do we want the U.S. to be a leader in this new industry like we are in artificial intelligence? I think the answer is obviously yes. We want to continue to lead there. And for a while, we weren't sure whether the current administration didn't have that view, but the next one, I think, gets it.
You know what I noticed with this lad, and of course you know far better than I, it used to be that it drew in a lot of young people. I mean, Robinhood itself, its success is really sort of taking the stigma and the boredom out of investing, and that was attractive. It wasn't sort of like an old man or woman's game the way you did it. And I felt that was very analogous to the early type of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency investors. They skewed young. Now there are more old fogies like me who are saying, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. There does seem to be a base to this. So how would you define who's buying all this right now? Who's getting involved in all of this?
Well, certainly what we see, we've got a front row seat to retail. We're one of the largest retail crypto trading platforms out there, and we've been expanding our selection. and it's up 400% month over month. So it's a very retail-heavy asset.
But are they, it is a bumpy ride, and I know you've said that in the past, as we've had, representatives from the Bitcoin arena, all types, saying the same thing, not for the faint of heart, get it. But people have yet to be severely burnt on this. I mean, if you were entering this a year ago, you'd be up in excess of, 50 to 60%? I mean, I'm sorry.
More.
140, 160%. So, there are jagged edges, but the jagged thing is up and up and up. Are people prepared if there is a wipeout, or like you see with a sudden market crash, like we've seen in the stock market?
I mean, I think that we've gone through a few of these cycles in the past. Back in 2013 was the first major one where you started to hear about Bitcoin in the news. It went up to 1,000 per coin very, very quickly, and then went back down to in the hundreds or even below 100. Then in 2017, it went to 20,000 and back down into the single digits. So,
and when it went down in those prior instances, did people bail out and a few brave souls stuck with it, or with every dip, you had the buyers come in, much as you do sometimes in market corrections?
I think people have been holding more, and I think the reason for that is, particularly when you look at early adopters, a lot of these people believe in the technology, they believe that it's the future, and there's sort of like a culture built around weathering these storms and holding throughout ups and downs.
Would you worry, Vlad, with some of this? It could be a Trojan horse, right? I mean, all other investments have been going up as this has been going up. And the argument for Bitcoin and for some of the cryptocurrencies and crypto plays was that when the world is falling apart, this is going to be the goal, this is going to be the haven. And yet, even the traditional stock market rises, Bitcoin rises and all, and that people could be getting sucked into something that, it's just not sustainable. What do you say?
My personal view is that of diversification. I don't like to put my eggs in any basket, which is funny because I'm an entrepreneur. So,
but you're also a multi-billionaire. So when you look at your assets, and you had to sort of, I have this much in stock, this much in real estate, I don't know what you have. How much would Bitcoin be a part of that, or crypto be a part of that? Typically, when I talk to people who are not nearly as successful as you are at this, about 10% of your assets.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be careful not to give investment advice, but I think
I can get you bumping into it accidentally, but go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, I think most people out there that are professionals would probably not advise something as high as 10%. I mean, I haven't heard that, but I think that what's certainly happening is more and more people are. It used to be that your financial advisors would talk you out of it. Stay away from that. I don't think you're hearing as much about that anymore. But the more
it soars, it's sort of like people who hold a high technology portfolio. They have NVIDIA and Apple and Amazon and Meta and all that. Just by sheer reverse gravity, when it's soaring, it's going to become a large and larger part of your portfolio. Bitcoin's the same. I mean, there might be some who say you've got to diversify, you've got to sell off a little Bitcoin, you've got to sell off some of the NVIDIAs, you got to sell off. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's what happens when you have these stellar success stories.
I mean, I think there's two ways of looking at crypto. One is as a tradable asset, like equities, options, and futures. The other, which I think is more interesting, is as a technology layer. And one of the things that we're very excited about, I think the path to this is paved more clearly now with the new administration, is if you look at all of these legacy systems, you've got clearing houses, transfer agents, payment processors, all of that's replaced by software. The costs of us operating our crypto business are 10 times lower than the traditional financial business.
Is that right?
Both are at scale, so we actually have a unique vantage point to see this.
So you much prefer the caller saying, I want to deal in crypto, than someone who says, I want to buy Apple?
Well, what I'm saying is that what you're going to see is an increasing number of traditional assets like stocks on crypto infrastructure. And what that'll do is it'll not just make the experience better for investors. You'll get 24/7 trading for free, for example, and fractionalization, which allow people to get into smaller amounts. But the end cost to the user should be lower because the efficiency and the number of third parties and intermediaries.
So where does that take us, Vlad? I mean, 100,000 a coin right now. You said wasn't that long ago. We were at 1,000 and less. Bumpy ride. I've heard some say, "Oh no, this is going to 1 million. This could go to 5 million a coin." I mean, incredible figures. But not that long ago, the 100,000 thing seemed incredible. What do you think?
I mean, I think that it depends on what happens. If there is a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which a lot of Bitcoin maxis are very excited about, that could certainly change things. I can't make specific.
Change things to what degree? To that million level that you hear about?
Yeah, I mean, I can't make specific prognostications.
I understand, but that would be a tenfold run-up. Just the sheer pace and velocity of this worry you?
Well, here's another way to look at it. Silver market cap, about 1.7 trillion, give or take. Gold is at about 18 trillion, right? Gold's some consider it the most valuable asset. And then you've got Bitcoin, which has crossed 2 trillion. So I think that's why people got excited about the comparison to gold, and people make that comparison. If the utility is actually, I mean, in some ways the utility is superior. You don't need to store it and custody it in physical vaults. The costs of it should be lower. That gold 18 trillion benchmark is one that some people point to. Now, I'm not saying it's going to get there.
That's a 9 or 10 times advance right there.
We can't.
You get to your million right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a large part of why people are excited about the Fed chair's comments.
Yeah, that came out of the blue. He just offered that gold thing. And I do think that changed things yesterday, because as soon as that word got out, you notice that.
And that's like the number one perk with crypto. You don't have to store it physically anywhere. You see what I mean? Like, you don't have to store it anywhere physically. You could travel, you could go anywhere in the world. All you need is your wallet. Compared to gold or cash or asset, like all those things, you cannot carry your house, you cannot carry your car anywhere you're going. You can travel with your car if you're going to another country. You can travel with your house. But crypto is easy, and this is why it's the future. You can argue, you can say no, it's not. You can say, well, I don't understand crypto, especially Bitcoin. You better start learning about it now, because it's like when the internet came out. The internet, everybody was like, well, this is a bubble. It's never going to last. And lo and behold, we're still here. People are making a lot of money on the internet. People are making a living on the internet. People are working from home on the internet. You cannot even do anything in the hospital without the internet these days. Like, I don't think the world can function without the internet now compared to like decades ago. So this is life. You have to evolve with life. Things are going to happen, evolve. If you don't evolve, you're just going to be left behind. Evolve. You've heard the saying, evolve or die. If you don't evolve, then I don't know what you're doing. So nobody knows any of this stuff. You just have to learn. Take your time. It's going to be painful, but you're going to have to learn. You're just going to have to learn. This is the new currency. This is what is going on. It's going to be hard to adapt to this new way of living, but you're going to have to learn. And of course, this is not like an investment advice, okay? This is just normal conversation we're having.
It was starting to run up.
Well, it's like they're taking it more seriously. For a while, it was being ignored. It was kind of criticized and ridiculed.
The establishment now is endorsing this.
Yeah, and there's a big trend of people making their own decisions about their investments and where they want to deploy their capital. And I think the American people have quite clearly said that they want to have safe access to these new products, and they want America to be a leader in this new growth industry. So I think there's a case for some optimism. I'm glad that the country's going in the right direction here.
Well, gone are the days of trying to kill it in the crib, right? How many people tried to kill in the crib? They didn't succeed.
Shout out to everybody tuning in one more time. Kokabura Whisperer says, how is it a currency? No one pays for things in Bitcoin. Let me get you the data right now. So in El Salvador, Bitcoin has now been accepted accepted towards digital payment in El Salvador. Now let me go to the United States. The state really just adopted Bitcoin for payments. What state just I know a state in the United States really just accepted Bitcoin as legal tender. Let me see in the US. I think it's Idaho. I don't know for sure. I just want to get you the right information. Okay, let me see. I gotta find you that state. Anyway, one thing you gotta understand is the US government is now storing cryptocurrency. So if the United States government is storing cryptocurrency, then you better know it's about time that you start learning about it. Okay. I'm gonna find you that state, but let's keep the show going. Of course, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they visited Capitol Hill today to talk about the Department of Government Efficiency.
Welcome back. The co-heads of the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, expected to meet with Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill today. House Speaker Mike Johnson writing on X, they will discuss major reform ideas to achieve regulatory rescissions, administrative reductions, and cost savings, adding they will revive the principle of limited government. And while the incoming Trump administration targets government waste, President Biden is still spending on his climate change agenda. The Energy Department committed more than $7.5 billion to a Stellantis joint venture with Samsung SDI to build 2 electric vehicle battery plants in Kokomo, Indiana. Joining me now is West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito. She's the vice chair of the Senate Republican Conference and a member of the Senate Appropriations, Commerce, Science, Transportation, Environment, and Rules Committees. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning, Maria.
So tell us about the government waste conversation that you had yesterday and are expected to continue to have. Is there significant waste to cut out, and where is it?
Well, I think everybody is really excited about this government efficiency initiative that President Trump's put forward with Ramaswamy and Musk. They're coming up onto Capitol Hill today. Joni Ernst here in the Senate is sort of leading the charge on the Senate side for us. And I think we can identify a lot of waste. First of all, federal buildings, which is sort of a layup. That's an easy one, as you know, unoccupied and workers not coming in. But at the same time, we have overpayments in Medicaid. We have all these green energy grants going to who knows what and I think suspicious kinds of groups as well. There's a lot to identify here, and I think also it wouldn't be just scraping out waste. It's really discontinuing programs that are well past their usefulness and are really haven't been scoped out or really looked at carefully over the last several years. So I think there's a lot of excitement here for this because I think this will be what the voters want. They want more limited government. They want smarter spending and less spending.
Senator, Trump is rounding out his economic team. He chose Paul Atkins for the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Frank Bisignano for Social Security Administration Commissioner, former Senator Kelly Loeffler chosen for Small Business Administration, Billy Long for IRS Commissioner, and Peter Navarro as Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing. I want to get to some of your meetings in a moment, but let me get your take on Paul Atkins as potential incoming chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Would you support a merger of the SEC and the CFTC? Is that something that you think could work, given there's lots of conversation about consolidation of some of these agencies?
Well, I think it has been very unclear, and you've talked a lot about this on your show, as to where the governance over crypto really is. Is it at the SEC? Is it the FCT or FCT? Anyway,
CFTC.
You know what I'm talking about. CFTC. Yeah, sorry about that. Forgot the C.
An alphabet of names. We know that, but Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC.
Got it. And so there's been a lot, is it in ag? Is it in banking? There's all kinds of, I think, conflict here. I think this is something we should look at seriously. This is a growing, obviously, vibrant part of our economy and obviously the international economy. What I've had problems with at the SEC is all of the DEI, all of the climate reporting.
Shout out to Will.
All of these things need to be scraped out of there. And
Shout
let's get
out
back to
to
business
Will.
as usual in
Keep it
terms
up.
of
God bless you, Brody.
transparency, clarity, all of the things that we really need to be able to follow the regulations that make sense, but also consolidate where we can. And it may be a consolidation of the CFTC and the SEC.
Yeah, and there's this thinking that, this enforcement out of the SEC recently and this, huge rules and regulations has caused investors to look to Europe and Asia with regard to trading crypto, for example, and bypass the United States. Is that something that would concern you?
It does concern me because I think a strong nation has to be strong not just militarily but also economically. And I think the rules of the road, the transparency, the regulatory framework needs to be very predictable, very reliant, and very resilient. And I think this is where we've fallen short over the last 4 years. And I think that this is where President Trump knows. He knows financial markets. He knows how to keep strong and be strong. And I think that's what we need to get back to, and I think you can see that in the appointments that he's made.
So you've been meeting with some of these folks, right? I know you met with Trump's choice to lead the EPA, Lee Zeldin, earlier this week. You met with UN Ambassador nominee Elise Stefanik last month. You met with Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth on Tuesday. As Trump is reportedly now, we understand, considering replacing Hegseth with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Senator. Are you supporting all these candidates?
I'm supporting President Trump's initiatives and the really mandate that the people brought to do things, to be effective and to be bold and to be disruptive in a way. And a lot of that has to do with the president being able to get his team together. So, you know, we do have an advise and consent role. And so we are looking, and that's why these personal meetings are so very important. And, you know, I'm going to support the president down the line and look at every candidate through the lens that I think is important for the security of this country and who's going to be the strongest leader. And so far, I feel very positive about those that I've met.
Okay, so here's the myth, okay? People always believe that Elon's father, obviously who is a South African, had a emerald mine in South Africa. He was an engineer too, okay? His mom was a doctor, or still is a doctor because she's still alive. However, Elon is claiming that he's not a trust fund babe. I mean, if your father allegedly had or maybe still have emerald mine, and you know, emerald is a precious stone, and look, Elon definitely wasn't a poor boy, wasn't broke. Come here, come here, come here. Elon was never he was never like a broke boy, never. But I mean, having a father who has an emerald mine, a mom who is a doctor, he definitely lived the dream. Okay, definitely lived the dream. So it is what it is.
But also those that are coming online. Many of whom I know.
JSTAR85. Let me help you
So,
real
you know what,
fast.
Senator, we talk a lot about how the Democrats have been so successful over the years. And now, obviously, you all won, and you're in the majority, and Trump is about to take the lead in the White House. But for a long time, it's been the Democrats who always stick together. And we just did a whole story on who voted for Biden's appointees. You voted yes for Alejandro Mayorkas. By the way, did you regret that?
I do regret that. And the reason I voted for that was I was the chair of the Homeland Security funding, you know, on appropriations. And, you know, he came in, met with me, and I thought he had a vision that was going to actually mirror the vision that President Trump had put forward the last 4 years. And he fell well short of that.
Yeah.
So I do regret that vote for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, open border has had so many implications, negative implications for the American people. So I guess viewers want to know, Republicans were there for Joe Biden. Are Republicans going to be there for Donald Trump? Are you all going to stick together?
Yes, we are. And I think at the end of the day, the media has, you know, created a firestorm around several of the appointees. But look at the whole body of what the president's moved forward with. It's very positive. We are going to stick together. We had a conference yesterday that I led where the president called in at my request and my desire, and he gave us a good direction, a good pep talk, and said, let's do this together. We have the voice of the people with us, and that's the most important thing to all of us, is that we're the folks that we represent, their voices are being heard. They want action, and that's what we should deliver on, and we will be together.
Senator, I was so happy to see that talk the other day that you led. You hosted the GOP Senate conference this week with President Trump calling into the meeting, as you say, urging you all and your colleagues to be ready to go. What I'm scratching my head over is why you're doing the extension of tax cuts at the end of the year. I mean, we all know that voters voted for this agenda, and that agenda includes extending the tax cuts. But you're going to prioritize what? The border, defense, and energy, and you're going to push the extension of the tax cuts to the end of the year. What's the thinking?
Well, first of all, nothing's been fully decided here. So I think we're looking at different strategies. The strategy, I think, behind a two-step process would be, we've got to get a short-term win here. We've got to prove to the American people, yes, we're going to clamp down on the border. Yes, we're going to build the wall. We're going to hire more people. We're going to deport. We're going to do all the things, give the president the funding that he needs to do these things. Energy, unleash energy in this country. Scrape out all of the negativity from the Biden administration on energy, and then we're going to have a strong defense. I'm not sure we've fully decided that's the direction to go. And that's why you have these meetings such as we had the other day, but also we had the Speaker of the House. What can they do?
Yeah.
And it may be that they feel they can only do one. I read that in public reports, that one is the way they want to go, one large package. That may
100% I agree on the short-term wins. Like, once you win on a small scale, then you start thinking about winning on a big scale. But when you're just thinking about winning on a big scale, you're not thinking about winning on a small scale. And it's harder to win on a big scale than to win on a small scale. So every day, try to win little by little, like do small stuff that makes you feel like you actually did something. And then just maybe the big win is going to come. And that's what they're trying to do here with this administration right here. She's saying winning on the small scale is key, and that is going to help project them to the big wins. And it's just what it is.
Maybe what we do in the end, but what I think we're looking for here is momentum to tell the president and tell the American people, we hear you, we're going to work on the things that are important to you. And remember, the border was one of the #1 things.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important we address that first.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining that, Senator. That's very helpful for all of us. Real quick, can you do 2 reconciliation packages next year?
Yes, we can. We can actually do 3.
Okay.
And but that may be too big a bite of the apple, but we can.
Senator, it's great to have you this morning. We so appreciate all the info. Thank you so much.
Right. The word is momentum. That's absolutely right. The word is momentum. Like, I cannot overemphasize that word. Momentum, guys. Once you find momentum, you better stay there and make sure you sleep there. Do not leave once you find your momentum. Momentum is the key. Once you find it, it's hard to find momentum, really. But once you find it, you need to stay there, do all you can to keep your momentum. With that being said, the vice president is back from her vacation. Okay. She's back from a vacation from Hawaii. She's back from a vacation. And, of course, the president was in Angola taking a nap. But Vice President is back from vacation, and she just addressed the people, saying next year is going to be a very important year. NBCSL. Oh, shoot.
And so
Bro, you can never make this up. You can never make this up.
But here's what I want to say.
Okay, here we go.
The season for us to be thankful, to celebrate our blessings, and to reinvigorate ourselves about the blessings we have yet to create for each other and the people we represent. And you all are the leaders on the ground who are doing the work that is about lifting people up. Y'all have heard me say so many times, I do believe the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it is based on who you lift up. And that is the work that each of you does every day. Your work benefits people that for the most part may never know your name or mine. People you may never meet. Yours is the work that is a response to a calling to serve. A calling to sacrifice, to work long hours, to work long days, to meet the needs of the people. Yours is the work that is...
Thomas, I promise you this is real, guys. This is absolutely real.
That asks of each of us to believe in the promise of America.
said, no way. I
And
promise
we'll
you it's
do
real.
everything we can to help our nation realize that promise. On behalf of everyone, no matter who they are, where they live, what they look like. And so I wanted to stop by to say thank you for all the support you have given me, but most importantly, for your willingness to answer the call to serve in the way you do. It's going to be an important year next year. And I know that's part of what the conference has been about, to think about how we are going to use the limited resources we have to serve the greatest number of people and to lift folks up. And so I am here also to thank you in advance for that pledge that you have made and continue to make. Our work is so important, and as we reflect on this past year, let us remember we had impact in every way. And we have taken on the work of building community and coalition.
Did she just say it's going to be an important year next year? Like, you're going to be out next year in the first month. So, and even if you wanted to like do any type of campaigning, you have to wait for like 2 years. So, I don't know what she means by it's going to be an important year next year.
That's what we do and do so well. And in particular, that's what members of this organization do.
Hugh says blah, blah,
So
blah,
let's
bro.
stay committed to that. But you all are the soldiers on the ground and in the field.
Blaze, why do people say
know that
she's
everyone's
always,
here together
she
in
always sounds
fellowship
drunk?
to rededicate
You guys have
ourselves
no evidence,
to the
but
work yet to be done
the way she
and
moves,
to do
that's
it
the only evidence y'all
knowing,
got.
yes, it will be
But you
hard
say
work,
she
but
always
hard work
sounds
is
drunk.
good work. Hard work is joyful work. And we are up for the moment to see it through and get it done. And yes, we will do it with joy in our hearts. And
One thing is for sure, in politics or, just in life, authenticity is the key. Like, you should be authentic. Don't do things because you want people to like you. And she's obviously doing this that's why she never saw the light of day. Okay. That's why she never saw the light of day. Be authentic. If they're gonna like you, they're gonna like you. If they're not gonna like you, they're never gonna like you. And this is the thing, like, no matter what you do anyway, people are gonna criticize you. You do bad, they're gonna say you do bad. You do good, they're never gonna still like you. So just be authentic, do your best. And that's what happened to her right here. She wasn't authentic, and the American people spoke. It's just what it is.
with our commitment to the fight that is about lifting up all people, recognizing everyone's right to opportunity, to dignity, to freedom. And so I wanted to just stop by to say thank you for all of that, and please enjoy the holidays. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
For more on all this is Laura Trump. She's the co-chair of the RNC. Let's start with Doge because I think there's just so much
MC
excitement
Gluck
around it
says
when
she
you
doesn't
have
always
two
sound
very
drunk.
interesting
Sometimes she
characters who are not
sounds
working
high.
for any money. They're saying that let's
I
just
do
get this
not
done.
even
We had somebody on
understand you,
yesterday saying that there's
bro.
young tech people all over the country now saying they want to help and work with the government
You
now,
should steal your vice
especially under
president,
Elon
people.
and Vivek. And even Laura, Senator Fetterman said there might be some virtue here. Let's listen to him and get your reaction.
I mean, I don't know why it's controversial to eliminate
Doge,
waste.
Department of
But
Government
that's not exactly
Efficiency.
an original idea either. I mean, how many
It's getting
different
spicy, guys.
administrations is that all have that kind of a conversation, all these things? So, I mean, that's not revolutionary. It's not controversial. And I think anybody could support making our government more efficient.
Fetterman is saying he is okay with Ron DeSantis coming in to be director of the Pentagon. But this guy is the governor of Florida right now. And for him to say he wants Ron DeSantis to come head the Pentagon, then something must be up. Nobody wants to confirm Pete Hexet's. Why is that? Everything is rosy until you decide to go into the cabinet and work with the commander-in-chief.
And saving whatever money that we can.
And I think this excitement comes, Laura, from people believing that actually this time it could work.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dana. Great to be with you guys. And listen, you got to think back for a second to Donald Trump in his first term in office. He did something like moving the American embassy, by the way, to Jerusalem, which so many presidents before him said they wanted to do. Donald Trump got it done. A peace agreement in the Middle East. Donald Trump got it done. If there is anyone who could take a situation like reducing our federal government, paring it back, and actually doing the right thing here, I believe it's Donald Trump. And I do think people are so excited about this. Look, over the past several years, our country has watched as our money has.
Shout out to Keith. Keith Bridge says, you look stoned. Somebody else says, Amanda says, you're right, Keith. He looks high AF. Bro, I need sleep. That's what I need. I wish, but I gave up in March. So, yeah, that is my story.
Gone overseas to fight wars that, you know, we don't even involve ourselves in and don't want to be involved in. Watched as we've spent, I think, Elon himself said the other day, $150 billion a year on illegal immigrants who have come here to this country. This is something that people are desperate to see happen. And I actually believe this is the time. If things happen in the way that I think so many of us are hopeful to see happen, I believe we are upon the most transformational period in our country's history, basically since our inception. Donald Trump calls it the golden age of America, but it starts with Doge. It starts with giving the taxpayers, you know, more for their money and not wasteful spending, not the fraud, not the abuse. I actually believe we're going to see some incredible things happen.
Okay, another topic here, political. Here's the headline. Some are fearing retribution on behalf of your father-in-law when he goes back to the White House. Biden White House discussing preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs. Now, there's no evidence that anyone's requested that pardon, and there's some debate as to whether or not it's even legal. But when people ask you about the retribution aspect, how do you respond to that?
Well, Bill, Donald Trump himself said that success will be his revenge. If there's anyone who understands how egregious it is to have the politicization of our systems against one individual, it is Donald Trump. And I think one of the reasons that the people of this country overwhelmingly came out and supported him is because they want to be able to.
Blake says he doesn't trust Elon, but NASA trusts Elon to go rescue the people in space. The astronauts that are stuck in space, NASA trusts Elon to go get them. So it's like he is an asset to the United States. Actually, to Earth. The Earth needs Elon Musk. It is just the truth. You can argue back and forth, but Earth basically needs him right now.
Trust these fundamental institutions like our Department of Justice again. He does not plan on retribution. He plans on restoring trust and faith of the American people into so many of these foundational elements of our country. And so I would say, look, if anyone has done anything wrong, then maybe they should be worried, not because of Donald Trump, because maybe they've broken the law, but you know, when it comes to Donald Trump, I think people are actually going to be very surprised to see how he operates, because there has been so much fear mongering. There's been so many scare tactics when it comes to Donald Trump. We remember how he was the first term in office. He didn't start World War III. He was actually the first president in 82 years not to start a new war, not to get America into a new war. And much in the same way, I think people are going to see very quickly that this is a man who really just wants to go in there and take charge of this country as the American people mandated. You know, secure our border, bring down inflation, get us out of wars, and do the right things for America. He has no intention on retribution or revenge.
Laura, there was a really big case yesterday heard in front of the Supreme Court. The Biden administration pushed back against Tennessee, which has a law that banned the treatment of minors for sex reassignment surgery. And one of the justices that was put forward by Biden is Justice Brown Jackson. And she compared the Tennessee law banning gender transitions for minors to past laws banning interracial marriage. Listen.
Some of these questions about sort of who decides and the concerns and legislative prerogatives, et cetera, sound very familiar to me. They sound in the same kinds of arguments that were made back in the day, 50s, 60s, with respect to racial classifications and inconsistencies. I'm thinking in particular about Loving, and I'm wondering whether you've thought about the parallels, because I see one, as to how this statute operates and how the anti-miscegenation statutes in Virginia operated.
To that, or to the bigger point, Laura, how does the Trump team see this case?
Well, I can tell you how I see it as a mom. Look, I have kids who are 5 and 7 years old, and I think what we're specifically talking about here are minors, are children. And when you look at some of the impact of, you know, some of these drugs that are being given to kids, some of the irreversible procedures performed upon them, it's very frightening for a lot of parents out there. I think that comparison is wildly outrageous, personally. But I can tell you that, you know, all Republicans typically want is to protect our kids. We should never be performing procedures or giving drugs to our children in the United States that are going to do them harm and going to do permanent damage to them. And I do think that a lot of people are talking about the fact that maybe this is a state's issue. Maybe that's ultimately where it ends up. But it is a very hot button topic for a lot of people. There seems to be a big shift in this direction to try to push kids, you know, into this transgender ideology. And it is very frightening, I think, for a lot of parents right now.
We'll see what the court decides. Quickly here, Michael Whatley, you worked very close with him, successfully, I would argue, after the election. We know that he will stay as chairman of the RNC. You're a co-chair. What's your future? What's your next role?
Oh, the big question, Bill, the easy one at the end.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm so lucky because I did work with an incredible team. We did succeed in doing everything we set out to do. We obviously had this overwhelming win for Donald Trump. And I'm trying to figure out what my future looks like right now. I'm fortunate that I have a lot of things potentially in front of me. And as soon as I make a decision, I promise to let everybody know.
Give us a call.
Yeah, officially, are you a resident of North Carolina? Or are you officially a resident of Florida?
I'm an official resident of Florida for 3.
Laura definitely has a bright future in the RNC for sure. Absolutely. She helped in North Carolina 100%. And also concerning the community with the flag, okay? I mean, it's enticing for younger generation, like young kids. Now the population of people who are saying they're queer is just on another level. But you are what you say you are. I have no problem with that. However, if you are going to say this is what you identify as, you have to be an adult. This is my opinion, okay? Everybody can have their own opinion, right? You have to be an adult. You have to be paying bills. Then you can say, I am this. Okay, great. Okay, you're an adult. You're not an adult. And you know, like your frontal cortex, right? Doesn't even develop until you're like 24, 25. Your prefrontal cortex in your brain doesn't even develop until you're like 24, 25. So, and that's what helps you reason rationally. So any decision you made before 24, 25, 26, you're probably maybe not making the right decision. Okay. So you cannot say you are this at 16. You don't even know what you are at 16. Okay. So, but of course, everybody's going to have their own opinions on this stuff. This is my personal opinion. You must be an adult, fully formed brain before making that kind of decision. But some parents support it. You know, some parents are like, well, she made that decision. He made that decision. And this child is 16 years old. You're spoon feeding them. They don't know anything about responsibilities. and then you're supporting it. It is what it is. You could, everybody has their own opinion, like I said. But for me, you have to be an adult. You have to be responsible for something, okay? Which, in my opinion, would be bills. Because when you pay bills, you have a different type of mentality, okay? That's responsibility that you have to take care of. But if you do not pay bills, you can be thinking stupid stuff, okay? That's why I always say, if you do not pay bills, do not watch the live stream. Don't watch the live show, guys. If you are in your mom's basement, thank you for watching. Okay, but please pay some bills. Okay, when you pay bills, it's like I'm talking to a peer. Like, okay, nice one. That's why you have opinions in the chat. Like, Genesis, you don't know what you're because you don't pay bills, bro. You don't pay bills. That's why you can come in the chat and say, "Oh, Genesis, you don't know what you're talking about." But if you actually pay bills and mommy ain't spoon feeding you, of course you're gonna have some sense. And I agree with most of what I'm saying. You don't even have to agree with everything I'm saying, but like having responsibilities just gives you senses. It makes you have common sense, okay? Because it's like some things don't matter anymore. You know that you're responsible for stuff. But it is what it is.
Actually,
Ours is say
Congressman, what you're
kids,
not seeing
children, bro.
is the sack of the
Absolutely children.
detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World
Of
Trade
course,
Center.
Moses, many
I
don't
was
pay
there at
bills. That's why they can
Fresh
be
Kills.
having flags and stuff.
Congressman, I was there to show respect for a Secret Service member that died on 9/11.
And by the way, like I have absolutely nothing against adults who say they are who they are. It is what it is. Like it's your opinion. It's what you identify as. As long as you are an adult and you are responsible for yourself, okay? You're not still banking on your parent to, you know, pay your bills, to, take care of you. You can be who you want. You can be whoever you want. It's life, okay? Everybody has their own independent decision, but you have to be an adult. And what constitutes as an adult is if you have responsibilities. If you do not have responsibilities and you are 25 years old, you're still a child. Until you have responsibilities, that's what categorizes you as an adult.
The more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect for a Secret Service member that died on 9/11.
You're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question.
Please. You are out of line, Congressman.
Don't try to bully me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are playing politics.
I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
you won't answer the question.
On our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order.
Yo, what's going on right here?
Committee will come to order. I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that day?
No, I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir.
Mr. Fallon, your time's expired.
Did not affect protective operations.
You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible, because you are auditioning for this job.
I was there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency.
You endangered President Biden's life, Vice President Harris's life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a radio with you?
Mr. Fallon, your time has expired.
Did you have a weapon?
No, I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Please.
All right. And we are back in order now. We are back in order now.
Thank you.
Well, sometimes things get a little heated.
in these congressional testimonies. And obviously, this is a topic that is enormously sensitive. I mean, imagine what this country would be like right now if things had gone differently, if that assassination attempt had been successful in Butler on July 13th. So emotions are running high. I believe the question was around his presence, Ronald Rowe, the acting director of Secret Service, because remember, the director stepped down after Butler, Kim Cheadle. But he's asking about his presence at that 9/11 ceremony and what the purpose of his positioning on that day was. And you can see it got extraordinarily emotional in there. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on what's going on as they try to figure out the future of the Secret Service and who should be held accountable.
Well, a combative moment on Capitol Hill earlier today where the task force investigating the first attempt on Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania, pressed acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe on what is being done to prevent the failures of that day. Senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram live on Capitol Hill. Hi, Chad.
Martha, good afternoon. I have covered a lot of hearings over the years, and I have never seen a verbal rumble quite like this one. Now, look at this. Pat Fallon said Ronald Rowe got in this picture at Ground Zero on 9/11 out of vanity. Fallon says Rowe wants to become the full-time Secret Service director, so he stood close to President Biden, Vice President Harris, and President-elect Trump.
You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of line,
Biden's life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Rowe would not say whether he wants the job on a full-time basis when I pressed him in the hallway. Have things gotten better at protecting the president-elect, and others? Will you stay?
This guy said he has never seen a Royal Rumble like this. This is a Royal Rumble for sure.
On as Secret Service Director in the new administration? Fallon said Rowe's position near the trio pushed aside other protective agents. Fallon says this demonstrates that the Secret Service did not improve after the assassination attempt on Mr. Trump's life in July. Now, bipartisan members of the panel investigating the assassination attempt are frustrated that they never got to examine the body of Thomas Crooks. The report is due next week.
No, I don't think it's any more efficient than it was prior to this guy, Ron Rowe, taking charge of the Secret Service. You know, there's a lot that goes into becoming the director of the Secret Service.
Shout out to Mr. Green. Yeah, definitely. Like X is, it's a freedom town square for sure. You can say what you want on X, but on YouTube, you definitely need to watch what you say because you could get, guidelines, caution. You could get community guidelines, warning, and stuff like that. Because, I mean, people are gonna say, "Well, it's freedom of speech." Well, it's a private company, okay? This isn't like the government company. YouTube is a private company, so they can tell you what they don't want. The type of conversations you can have on their platform, which I think is total. I was about to say BS, but yeah, it is BS if you don't have, freedom to say what you want because it's their platform. It's true, but on X you can say whatever you want to say. Okay, you can say whatever you want to say. Which that's why I like X. Is just YouTube is just different because it's a different type of it's just different. It's a different type of platform. The way you share your content is different from the way you share your content on X, you know. So that's why people love YouTube, YouTube Live, the streaming platform. And YouTube Live just actually took off, okay? It started in 2011 and it just took off like probably like 2, 3, 4 years ago. Shout out to the youngins like iShow Speed. Well, Isina doesn't stream on YouTube; he streams on Twitch. Okay, so streaming now is like it's this is the new norm. Streaming is the new norm. A lot of people are streaming, but it depends on what you're streaming. Okay, most people are streaming IRL in real life. Most people are streaming conversations. Most people are streaming their work. Most people are streaming political content. And even Twitch has their own community guidelines that you have to follow. Every platform has their own community guidelines that you have to follow. It's just X makes it much more conservative, as well as Rumble. So X and Rumble are, like, for me, the top dogs when it comes to conservatives, conservative mind, conservative conversations and stuff like that.
You want to lead an agency that's got 7,000 employees, multi-billion-dollar budget.
Blaze says,
Not the least of which is the.
shout out to Blaze. Blaze says, YouTube. Wait. Blaze says YouTube censorship is out of control. Brandon says, yeah, YouTube looks bad compared to X. Yeah. Compared to X, YouTube is like, if you're talking about freedom of speech, then YouTube is probably gonna be capital BS. Okay, but I mean, we are on YouTube right now. Okay, we are on YouTube right now. Okay, so shout out to YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. That's all I'm gonna say, because y'all trashing YouTube right now.
The ability to maintain your composure, to answer questions that you should be able to answer without any problem. And to add to that, this guy has yet to take any responsibility for any of the shortcomings that led to the shooting in Butler, as well as the incident on that golf course following the shooting in Butler, right? All these things he's talking about, we're going to do this and change that and turn this on, hey, if you had just left things alone and left them the way that they were and got back to the basics that made the Secret Service great, you wouldn't have had these issues. But this is the guy that was purely responsible for cutting back, which led to President Trump getting shot in Butler.
Richard, when I hear what he just said there, what I'm trying to do is put the Secret Service back on the Secret Service. At which point did you realize that the Secret Service was not the Secret Service and wasn't able to protect the president?
Well, you just look at some of the sites that President Trump has gone to, and you ask yourself, hey, these are the most heavily photographed sites that have been going on, for a year. Yet, where are all the Secret Service agents?
Yeah.
You can clearly see there's something missing just by watching these events, and you don't even have to attend them. Anyone can see that security just wasn't where it should have been.
Yeah, this is more from that hearing today. One of the lawmakers, Rep. Green, in the room criticizing the culture at the Secret Service. Listen.
That's what I'm talking about. Elite culture where everybody comes to work every friggin' day saying, I will do everything I can to make sure I don't fail. And I'll tell you, going to war, I didn't give a if I died. What I didn't want to do was fail. But your guys showed up that day and didn't give a There was apathy and complacency, period.
But just to talk about censorship and all that stuff, independent media is the way to go right now. People don't really listen to, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, all of those people. People like to listen to reactions of those platforms. And that's why independent creators are like blowing up right now, because CNN can say something, okay, but how do you fact check them? Okay, so you have to compare and contrast. You listen to Fox, you listen to CNN, you listen to MSNBC, Joy Reid to be precise. Okay, you listen to The View, Whoopi Goldberg. You listen to all those people, and then you make your own decision. You do your own due diligence, and then you realize this person is total BS. Okay, this person might be close to the truth. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's called news media. Okay, they use it to keep, to get your attention. They use the thumbnails. They use the captions to get your attention, and this is why they exist, to find a newsworthy conversation for the people, so they can keep you engaged. Okay, it's just what it is, and that's why independent guys like Joe Rogan is like, this is why he's like the king of media right now. He's the king of podcasts. He's the king of media, and he interviewed the 47th president-elect, and people are saying it's because of him. That's why Trump became the president. But it's because people are now listening to podcasts, short forms. Nobody wants to sit down in front of CNN and watch total, BS. Like Trump would say, fake news. Most people are calling them fake news now. And a lot of people still call Fox fake news too. So it's not just CNN. It's like almost all media. And I'm going to say one thing again. Shout out to YouTube, okay? Shout out to YouTube. That's all I would say.
And that's your mission now.
Because that's what it's going to take, right? That mentality to show up every day and do your job the absolute best that you can do it.
And that's exactly right. But when the senior most leadership of the Secret Service, and I'm talking about from Deputy Assistant Director and political, allows their political beliefs to get involved in their job, that makes its way down to the field. And what you saw with regard to the level of complacency and just going through the motions is what led to the shooting in Butler. And this is what happens with catastrophic consequences.
Well, this is President-elect Trump, soon to be President Trump, back in office again. They are going to have a huge task before them. He travels a lot, right? Yep. I mean, he's out there a lot. Yep. Where are you with your confidence that they will be able to safely secure the president?
Oh, I'm not highly confident at all. The Secret Service that you see out there today is not the Secret Service of yesteryear. Wow. Somewhere along the line, they've completely dropped the ball. That testimony that you saw today was purely a smokescreen to cover up the shortcomings of a politically compromised agency. It should never have gotten to that point. This whole talk about all these drones and these UAVs, hey, that's all great. But you need to get back to the basics. What made the Secret Service great was its ability to put human intelligence, manpower on the streets and effectively secure an environment to make it safe for the President of the United States. I don't see that here. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'd be alone in saying that I certainly can see something happening between now and Inauguration Day. And it's not going to be some 20-year-old kid on the roof of a building that's allowed to get within 100 yards. It's going to be something of a much bigger magnitude. And I don't think the Secret Service is anywhere near equipped to handle that situation.
It's a big prediction from you.
Tim Crow, kind enough to join us, a Colorado Democrat, on what he makes of all of this. Where do you think this is going, Congressman?
Neil, it's good to be with you. First of all, today was our final hearing that culminated 5 months of bipartisan work. We have completed an investigation. It is thorough. It is comprehensive. In the coming days, we're going
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. That better not happen, because if that happens, that's going to send everybody into a frenzy. We do not want that. So please don't let that happen.
release our report that is the definitive story of the security failures and what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and our recommendations for how to fix it, right? We're not just here to complain about what happened, but to have very, very specific recommendations for reform, both short-term and long-term, to give Americans the confidence that this will never happen again.
Yo,
do you have confidence in the Secret
RC, you are the
Service now,
funniest.
Well, my job is not to have confidence in the Secret Service.
This was
And
very
in fact,
shocking
my job
right
is not
here.
to have confidence in any government agency. My job
What?
as a member of Congress
Why are they all
is to
falling
do
down?
oversight, to ask tough questions, to make sure that taxpayer
What
dollars
is
are being
going on,
effectively
people?
used, to make sure the mission of government to serve the American people actually is carried out. So no, I never take anything at face value. I never take anyone at their word here, because that's not my job. That's not what my constituents expect me to do. So I'm going to continue to ask the tough questions, and there's going to be some time to implement these recommendations. Some of them are long-term training focused, some of them are structural, some of them are the way in which the agency operates, and those are things that don't change overnight.
Yeah, and
We've come a long way since July 13. It's been a long ride, actually, but we're here now, aren't we?
I know, and you're far more aware of this than I'll ever be, but I do know that communication got to be a big issue, and that even some of the recommendations they get that make sure, if it's local police or local officials, or you're working coordination with the FBI and then Secret Service, that everyone is on the same, at least, communication page, able to reach each other, walkie-talkies, whatever it is. What do you make of that, and how that could prevent or at least limit incidents like this?
Yeah, you're spot on, Neil. That actually was my focus of this investigation, was looking at communications and command and control. You know, my time as an Army Ranger overseas, I did 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan with Special Operation Task Forces. And we worked across large distances, multiple levels of government. We worked with foreign countries, with law enforcement, with intelligence, with military, with diplomatic services. And for that to actually work, you need a common operational picture, is how we talk about it in the military. So your commanders need to know everything that's going on, where your units are, a unified communication. In this case, you literally had a situation where the Secret Service is writing hand-scribbled notes to each other, sending emails to each other about what's happening real time at an event like this, and text messaging each other on their personal phones. Unacceptable. Big changes need to happen here.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
These guys work hard. I'm not even gonna cap. These guys work hard. And I'm sure they're drowning in coffee because you can't even sleep. There's no way you'll be getting enough sleep if you're doing this type of job. You must be drowning in coffee. I'm saying like black coffee, no cream, no sugar.
And Omar Jimenez is out front live in New York City. He is in front of the hotel where Brian Thompson was shot and killed, the Hilton there in Midtown Manhattan. And Omar, what is the latest that you are learning tonight?
Well, for starters, this is the second day where we don't know where this suspect is. We don't know who this suspect is at this point. And some of the latest video that we're seeing, some of it you just alluded to there, shows the shooter, the latest in the day that we see the shooter after the shooting, which is only about 15 minutes or so after the shooting, seen on the Upper West Side here. But for perspective, that's about 30 blocks from where I'm standing. And with a route that could take you through Central Park, which of course, as we know, is where law enforcement searched, and of course, where he is seen on camera exiting. All of this as the New York Police Department is putting out new images tied to this investigation that they believe the public can help with.
New images tonight of what the NYPD is calling a person of interest wanted for questioning. Sources say these photos showing this person unmasked and smiling come from an Upper Manhattan hostel where investigators believe the shooter may have stayed before the Wednesday morning murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Another clue as
Tyler, you can ask me a
try
question,
to
yes?
piece together the shooter's
Ask your
identity.
question, Tyler.
Pieces to the puzzle, they are still coming together. So we're on the right path, and we believe we're going to apprehend this person.
Police conducted a search at the hostel, and one law enforcement official tells CNN the shooter stayed in a room with two other men. Investigators continuing to ask the public for help and offering a reward for information of up to $10,000, and they continue tracing the movements of the gunman before and after the targeted killing.
What we do know is an extremely well-organized, highly planned, sophisticated attack from everything we've seen so far.
On the day of the shooting, surveillance video appears to show the suspected gunman exiting the 57th Street subway around 6:15 a.m. Minutes later, pictures show him at a Starbucks, where sources tell CNN he bought water and two power bars, just
I
2
don't want to
blocks
butcher your
from the shooting
name.
site.
Glenga Miller. You are absolutely right. It looks like a girl. I was about to say that, but they're saying it's a gunman. That person looks like a woman.
Then, at 6:29 a.m., surveillance video from a nearby garage shows the suspected shooter walking down the street while on the phone, just minutes before he carries out the killing of Thompson at 6:47. The gunman then makes a quick getaway, and this new video appears to show a person dressed in a similar way just 10 minutes later on an e-bike 25 blocks north of where the murder happened. Investigators also found a phone and a water bottle near the scene of the shooting. A law enforcement official tells CNN a fingerprint was also lifted from the bottle, but it was smudged. Also still unknown, the motive. But there are potential clues. Sources say a shell casing and live round found at the crime scene were etched with the words delay and depose, a possible reference to the phrase delay, deny, defend, which is the way some lawyers have described the tactics insurers use to avoid paying claims.
That would, of course, point in the direction that this person was somehow, was certainly personally invested in this murder.
One thing we got to understand is this guy was the CEO of United Health. Okay, so United Health is like one of the biggest insurance company in the United States, and he was gunned down in New York on his way to a conference at like 6 a.m. or something like that. And, you know, insurance claims and all that stuff may be part of this investigation as well. But the CEO is also under investigation for insider trading. You just never know. Okay. I hope the officials do what they got to do, find the culprit, and just, let justice be served. However, it might be deeper than what the news media is showing.
Now, we mentioned that route fleeing north of here towards Central Park as we spoke about law enforcement searched Central
Someone
Park
said we
for the
went back. No,
backpack that
we
was seen
didn't.
worn by
This
the
is a
shooter
new
in the
one.
shooting. Did not find the backpack and no indication of what may have been inside. And then on the hostel as well, a law enforcement source telling CNN that this person used a fake New Jersey ID to check in, which at this point was days before the shooting. And then here outside the Hilton Hotel, life goes on, people walking by as if nothing happened. But of course, for law enforcement, the priority is not just where this person went, who this person is.
Yeah, absolutely. Omar, thank you very much. Out front now, Mateos Toronto. He was staying in the same hostel on the same floor where police believe the suspected shooter stayed. And Mateos, I really appreciate your time. I mean, what a bizarre situation you find yourself in. I know you're visiting from Brazil. You've been staying in the hostel. You've met some people there. Can we just start with some of the photos you took on the 4th floor of the hostel where you were staying, where where police say he was staying? Can you tell us anything about that? What it's like in there? What those halls look like?
All right. So the hostel is actually really crowded. There are a lot of people there, so they divide like rooms to, I think, 4 to 10 people. But in the
4 to
hallway,
10 people in one room.
yeah, 4 to 10 or 12, 4 to 12, yeah. So the hallway is just simple. It's just the doors that go to the rooms, the shared rooms. That's it. That's pretty simple how the hallways look.
So it would seem from what you're saying that if he was staying on that floor, as they believe he was, that he would have had other people in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so now you've been staying there for about a week.
Yeah.
And you're talking about these rooms that you got 4 to 12 people in a room.
Yeah.
So from what you're saying, he would have had other people in the room.
Yeah.
How hard would it have been to, as you see it, to even do something like to have a gun in there or something like that?
I mean, it would be that hard, like if he put on like his luggage or something, because there's no metal detector, there's nothing like that. So I think just go inside, and it will be all good. Like,
So he could have had something like that. In
yeah.
terms of seeing him, do you recall seeing, now you've seen his picture out there and you talk about the hostel being so crowded. Do you recall seeing anybody that looked like him?
Yeah, I didn't recall anyone looking like that. And people are saying that he always using the mask. So even if I saw him, I wouldn't recognize him because he was always wearing the mask.
Right. And obviously, as you were there those few days,
Yeah.
you talk about the situation. There's no security. There's no,
I mean,
lots of people coming
You
and going.
don't jeopadize your freedom,
basic
bro.
security. Yeah, there's a security like.
Of course, I
you
didn't
can
recall
go
anybody
inside
looking
without
like
a
that.
card, so we have to check in to go inside. But like, gun control doesn't have any. So, yeah, that kind of security is none.
Right. And in terms, just out of curiosity, but when you pay, you can pay credit, cash, in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
whatever. Yeah,
any way you want to pay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it is really fascinating, but also important, as you say, that he would have probably had a lot of other people in the room
Yeah,
where he was
yeah.
sleeping.
I think his room probably like had 4 to 6 people, but I'm not sure because I didn't get to come in there. It was locked. But the day that I arrived, there are a lot of cops there. People saw him. No, people saw the cops there outside the room. But yeah, everyone that was inside the room just went to another room, and I don't know who these people were. Like, I asked around, and they didn't know anyone.
This is a very thin line to thread. I don't know. However, he's bold enough to go on CNN to say he may be on the same floor with the person who did the do, but it is what it is. Somebody says former says you want this execute that. Ooh, Taylor Lorenz. I think that's an Hispanic lady, Taylor Lorenz. What's her name? Gerard Rodriguez. I just googled the name you put in the chat. I'm not gonna say he does look like the person, but the statement she made, the Taylor lady, that was really a bad statement. But freedom of speech anyway, so you can say what you want to say. But that was really a wild statement to make concerning the CEOs of these insurance companies. But with that being said, you guys are the best. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. I have to dip. We will be back for sure. And yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Double tap your screen. Easy. Let's get the likes up. It's a group chat, not a journalist. Patricia, tell her. Yes, boo. Mm-hmm. All right. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. Believe in God. You know what time it is. I will be back here. You guys have a wonderful night. It is currently 8:42 p.m. Today's date is the 5th of December, 2024. Yes, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful night. Or I hope you had a wonderful day today. And yes, man. I got a dip. All right. God bless you guys. And stay blessed. Stay jiggy. Keep the vibes going. And stay positive, guys. All right. Attrition, God bless you. Yes. I'm about to do it too. And God bless you guys, okay? Thank you for tuning in.